So,
How to lose viewers.
now that we have met Henry, and thank you, Mekiador, for Henry, because he's
Yep.
wonderful. And if
He's really
I'd
cool.
got Henry sooner, he would be the icon that appears on the map now. But
I think he will now be all future carrion crawlers.
Yeah, he may now be all future carrion crawlers. Yes. So let's drop back to the appropriate map.
Whee!
Shift ping everybody into position somewhat. Should be.
Don't see
there.
Ship Creek labelled anywhere, which is roughly where we
I
are.
will also just quickly swap over to the OBS version of this and zoom in somewhat so that the stream gets a better view of what's going on. Not that what's going on will be happening actually on
This map.
This map. This is just purely a representative map to show you that they're up Shit Creek and that there is a carrion crawler coming at them.
Are we on the battle mat or are we in Theatre of the Mind?
We are in Theatre of the Mind.
And I think possibly that the carrion crawler is standing on the paddles.
Yeah, don't like this.
It's entirely possible. Right, so
I want my
leave us now actually
back.
take a moment to
Panic.
get ourselves to a good place for me to press start highlight here when I come back over to this after the stream.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
And say welcome to episode 3 of Swords of Slaughterdeep. The story so far. Our heroes, if you want to call them that, have come to Undermountain as part of a large company, now smaller than it used to be, which is under the command of a nobleman and is seeking treasure in a temple to Shah, which exists somewhere down here in Undermountain, to the north of where the company is currently parked. Our heroes have set out to scout ahead of the company and find a good route through, and to bring back information on what is to be found ahead to their leader so that he can decide what to do and where to go. They have found what is essentially an underground settlement. It's a large open area with buildings actually constructed inside the cave, and with the cave walls modified themselves. So it's not just a big cavern, it's a cavern that has been smoothed off and effectively wallpapered with stone, and then buildings constructed within it. So it is literally a town inside one big room. And it has, however, suffered some damage. In addition to being deserted, there has been an earthquake at some point in the past, and large chunks of the ceiling have come down, causing a certain amount of chaos, and there's a lot of rubble everywhere. Just as they were starting to move in and explore this area, they heard a sound behind them, and there, lo, coming out of the building behind that they had just passed, was a carrion crawler. So we are going to go straight off into the crawler fight right away at the beginning of play.
Yeah.
Oh god, we're going to die.
Yep. Welcome
Yeah.
to Rincewind.
So, as we established before, initiative is done slightly differently in 2nd edition to pretty much all the later editions. In those, you roll initiative, then decide what to do. In this edition, because your initiative is affected by what you're doing, you largely decide, everybody decides what they're going to do first, and then initiatives are rolled. So we are going to go around the table and get an idea of what everybody wants to do with this first round, then we'll roll initiative to see when they're doing it. You can adjust what you're doing afterwards if you want. You can make some alterations. For example, if you say, I'm going to kill that orc, and then you roll your initiative, 4 people go before you and the orc's dead, you can obviously retarget to somebody else. So
I don't think that's going to be the problem we face tonight.
No.
not really with the carrion crawler and first level characters. The idea of it suddenly being aced by one lucky blow is it's unlikely, especially since there are no critical rules for Drat to abuse.
I don't abuse criticals!
So I'm going to take statement of intent
On table 3.
in the order that they appear on my stream. So let's start with Dratacup.
Right. Drutacup is going to head map south and climb the side wall of the building that the carrion crawler is coming out of.
Okay, so you're basically going to... assuming you are standing where the hint logo is, which you
Yeah.
pretty much are as a group, you're effectively going left to try and flank it.
Yeah. Yeah. Flanking is what I
Okay.
have in mind.
Yes.
I can't remember if flanking is a thing in this edition, but I think it is.
It's not as much of a thing as it is in 3rd edition
Oh,
and
no.
4th edition, which are far more, especially 4th, more sort of tabletop wargamey in their combat rules.
Yeah.
But it is a thing. Yes, there are
Yes.
there are bonuses.
Yeah.
You get a bonus
frankly,
for rear attacks, things like
Yeah.
that.
I think, to be fair, we need all the help we can get.
This is true. Speaking of help, Cops is next in line. So what are you intending to do, Nightbites?
Shout for help? No.
No, that's fine. I've got an attracted monster encounter table over there, sitting on the poster map of level 3 of Undermountain. That's fine. You're welcome to shout for help.
No. What I will do is, whilst I'm taking one of my axes out from its scabbard on my, or I think it's an axe loop rather than a scabbard. Grab a stone with my right hand to throw a stone at the thing while we close in. So hopefully it'll distract it at least a little bit, so we can close without it
Plan.
attacking.
Plan.
Okay. And Lucian?
Well, taking, the lovely advice from chat, I'm going to be the fodder. But yeah, I'm going to use my shield and take the front line.
I think you're hoping
Okay, so
you'll
you're
break its
advancing
teeth on
with
your
shield
armor.
in hand and presumably sword in the other hand.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I need no weapons. I have a shield. I'm the
I have a
cavalier
shield
from
and
the
I'm gonna
D&D
punch him to
cartoon.
death.
If
Just call me
if I
Eric.
take another shield, can I just sort of awkward turtle my way?
I've seen it done.
Your
I have
carrion
If you were
crawler
to have a
cannot hurt him.
conversation with
He has
our
a shield
HEMA
of
instructor
steel.
on Tuesdays, he would probably tell you that you could do it.
Yeah.
The buckler is as much a weapon as it is a defensive measure in pretty much all of the historical texts. So the idea of 2 bucklers is potentially workable.
I want to try it when we do Sword and Buckler.
Could be interesting. Right, and what do we think Twittle's going to do? Now, bear in mind, she is actually a fighter. So, she is one of your frontline combatants in theory, despite being 3
Well,
What's your weapon combination?
Yeah. What you said.
She has, if I remember rightly, and if I don't remember rightly, whoops.
'Cause I know she did mention the possibility of shield or buckler, but I don't know if that was actually retconned in or not.
I think she ended up as short sword and buckler.
Mm-hmm.
So, other than them being smaller, they're much the same. She has much the same weapon loadout as Lucian. She's like his mini-me.
Then perhaps she should accompany the mini-me
Yeah.
to give us a pseudo front line.
Okay, that works. So she will indeed.
If this gets you killed, Baru, I'm sorry.
She will indeed follow Lucian
Yes.
in. So the 2 of them are sort of side by side, shield and sword, ready,
looks heroic.
advancing towards the carrion crawler. So now I think and the carrion crawler, by the way, is coming out of the building and attacking you. It's
Is
complicated.
it in a
but
doorway?
It's in a hole more than a doorway.
Does that mean I can sort of
but
try to
yes.
keep it in the hole so that...
Oh, God. He's actually
Yeah,
going to
if
try
you
and
beat
block
it,
it with his
if
body.
you beat its initiative, you can theoretically try and sort of pin it in position halfway out of the building. Yes, by
That would
just
be a
moving
good
forward
thing.
and stopping
Yeah.
it advancing.
That would be a really good thing.
So initiative rolls. Initiative is done on a D10, and
What
you
is
add
it?
your weapon speed, which if you don't have it, I can tell you. You also add any reaction
Do
adjustment
I
that
still
you have
have
for
no
dexterity.
stats?
If you look in roll 20, you've now got your ability scores, but pretty much nothing else on the character sheet for your character. I swapped from the character sheet that I said don't use because it's awful last week to a character sheet that is slightly better, just by changing the settings on roll 20. So you do now have character sheets. In fact, let's see if I pop to. Nope, I can't. I was just going to say if I pop to the stream version of
And I've just
the map,
blocked
I
out
could
my
show
image
them a
on
character
screen
sheet, but
with the
unfortunately I
character
can't because that player has no access to characters. So
Oopsie.
will have to make a small change first. And what I will do is I will make a small change to Twittle and put Twittle in hints view as well, because then I should
So, what
be
stat
able
am I looking at?
to show a
You're
character.
looking at your dex for your
okay,
reaction
so-
modifier.
It lets me see Twittle's bio and info, but not Twittle's character sheet that way, so that didn't work.
Oh, no,
Sorry,
it's
chat.
reaction.
I think I may need to actually set hint to be able to control Twittle. And then, hopefully, we will have a character sheet available.
Fish, what modifier do I need to use when you've got your brain switched in for the climbing
if I've
action?
got my brain switched in. You have a climb score, which
I
if
do
you
have a climb score.
which if you have no other abilities defaults to 40%, but you of
No,
course are a thief,
not what I
so
asked.
yours is better.
I meant speed modifier for initiative purposes.
Ah, right. Okay. This is one of the flaws with this system, is that basically anything that isn't a weapon attack or a spell doesn't actually have a speed
Fair enough.
modifier. So
I'll stop looking then.
this makes things like moving and climbing actually really, really quick.
Yep, that's fine by me.
So yeah, you will basically just move on a straight dexterity roll, modified only by your
And it's a
dexterity.
D10, isn't it?
So yeah, that's what the character sheet now looks like. Let me make that bigger so that the chat can
Get
see
you out
it
of the way.
properly. As I say, I have not
everyone
actually
looking at my
had the time
stats?
to fill all the stuff in. It doesn't do anything automatic. So, for example, putting in a Dex 17 here does not automatically fill in the reaction adjustment, etc. But yeah, if you just put things into the character sheet as you ask me what the hell they are and I tell you, that will eventually get the character sheets filled in. And we'll get there somewhere down the line. It's quite a pretty
Assuming
character
the
sheet.
character's
It's got a
in
nice
character
little
order.
paper background and an AD&D second edition logo, and is divided into
Mecky.
interesting little tabs.
You're a sick puppy, Mecky. I'm going to introduce you to pancakes at some point.
No,
Don't like
I have a
pancakes.
cat.
Don't like pancakes at all. Pancakes are horrible.
Right, so let's remember that I'm interacting with the wrong thing there, because that's not the GM, that's the stream. So let's add the carrion crawler into the turn order. And
Ideally.
then, although I'm not using this as a battle mat, I will put a token for each of you guys onto the map, cunningly hidden within the fog of
Hint
war,
logo. Oh, the fog of war. Yes.
so that I can then add each of you to the turn order.
No. It's dead handy using the fog of war as a cupboard, basically.
Yeah. Talking about something utterly different to where we are today, because today we are playing in Roll20 and will be continuing to play in Roll20 for the
Another.
foreseeable future. In Fantasy Grounds, which is the virtual tabletop that I have obtained recently, that has an interesting setting for each of the NPCs in an encounter, each of the monsters and NPCs. You can set them to either be always visible, always invisible, or based on the fog of war. So effectively, if they're in line of sight, if they're not in line of sight of anybody when you've got them set based on line of sight, then they disappear. So that way, as people move around and you unblock an area, the monster appears, and that's based on the center point of the token. So if you've got say you're using the third edition rules, where a large creature probably takes up 4 squares. If the edge of one square is visible, you can't see the edge of a token until the center of the creature becomes visible. The whole token is obscured, which I think is quite a nice way of doing it. It means you don't get that creep forward and say, look, I can see the edge of a token. There must be a monster, even though I can't see it yet. So yeah, if the GM wants to tell you it's there, he can do, but it's not going to be given away by the map, which is quite nice. So, some
Sounds
initiatives
reasonable.
then.
yeah.
I rolled a 3 in total, Fish.
I'm probably going last.
I
rolled
rolled a
7.
6.
I've got a problem
So we
here. I need to put names on these tokens, because at the
Yes.
moment, 2 of them are identical, and I don't know which is which.
Yeah, had that problem before. Mostly with ghouls.
So
seem to come in
that
6-packs.
one is cops, fairly certain. And I think the smaller one there was Twittle. She's being very slow today for some reason.
I blame your internet. That's usually a good bet.
Yeah, I mean, that's the obvious
Not
thing.
unreasonable.
It's the connection to the server.
Yes.
And that will be Lucian. So now they have names in the turn order, which is always good. Right, so, but I forgot to save things. So we had, did you say 3, Drat?
I did.
And 7 for Carps, I believe.
I'm afraid so.
And did I hear a 6 for Lucian?
Yep, that was a 6.
Oh boy.
Okay.
7 was the roll. Throwing a stone. I don't know what the modifier for such thing is, but I'm guessing it's going to make me even slower than 7.
Yeah, I'm gonna arbitrarily give that a speed factor of 1 because it's pretty quick,
Yeah.
really, just lobbing a stone.
Fair enough.
There's
Dagger's
none
got
of
a
this
speed
lining it
factor
up
of
and making sure that you have the right attack angle and so forth with a stone. You just pick it up and lob it.
Yeah.
And this is the thing that I knew there was something wrong with my dice, and I couldn't remember what it was. Just been reminded, it's the fact that I have no D10 in that dice set, so I need to get out a different dice set. Right, let's be unnecessarily flash in a way that doesn't actually work. And down over the top of the events, we have got my dice tray. And you can just about see at the bottom of it, the bottom of my dice tower.
Hey.
What you can't see is what that die actually came out as. And guess what? Neither can I. That was an 8. Which means that, if I'm remembering correctly, Twittle, therefore, has 6 plus her short sword speed is going to be 9. So, yeah, the ultra-sharp, dead-fast halfling is, in fact,
Last.
Strolling over.
hugely slow. But there is somebody who has not yet rolled, and that is the carrion crawler. Oh dear.
That's
Carrion
going to be a
crawler
1,
well
isn't
fast.
it?
I will, however,
Oh shit.
check the carrion crawler's stats because I don't know what its initiative modifier is. So let's
Maynard
just have a
Mizaki
quick
said
look.
awesome looking spread. Thanks for sharing.
Wouldn't it be good
Hello,
if
mate.
I didn't have Discord talking to me in the middle of a stream? So much for Discord being in streaming mode and not giving notifications. To be on the safe side for the moment, I'm not going to close Discord. I'll just swap into tabletop role-playing so that at least if
We
anything
could
is
pretend.
read out
Yeah.
by Lazarus, it will have something to do
Yeah.
with what we're currently doing.
We could pretend that May was actually referring to your streaming layout or something.
And not your photographs of Japanese swords.
Yeah.
Yes, quite.
Yeah. Now, I can't remember whether this is something that I should have somewhere. But in the monster descriptions in 2nd edition, there is no speed listed for monster attacks, which of course makes them massively quick. Now, I suspect somewhere there is a standardized thing. So for medium-sized creatures are natural attacks of speed X and things like that. But until I can actually find them, I'm just going to make something up for the moment. And I'm going to give this, as I say, an arbitrary again, initiative modifier of 5. So that's going to up it to 8. That seems not unreasonable for what it is. Because it's unfair that it should get a huge bonus for the fact that it's not wielding a weapon, I feel. I have TTS for messages on the channel I'm currently in, Fuji. It's the way I have my Discord set up, because that way I can still monitor a conversation going on while I'm doing something else and looking at one of my other two monitors. Because quite often Discord's off over there and I'm not paying attention to it when I'm doing things. But on the other hand, I like to know when somebody's talking to me. And
However, that is kind of cool.
I've just thought of something better yet. What I should be doing is dropping into the private message channel that I have with Drut, who is in the game, and I know is not going to suddenly message me in the middle of the game.
You say that now.
Unless she's feeling particularly vindictive and wants to have Lazarus say nasty things about me. But at least it will say Drut said if she does, because it can't pronounce her name.
Hey, Fortnox, good evening to you.
Okay,
you can
so
choose not to
let's
answer if you
Would I
wish.
do
just sorted them descending by mistake, sort them into ascending order, and our first actor will therefore be Shrine.
Shrine
So-
is, as I said, heading diagonally left,
Yep.
down, and attempting to scale the side of this building.
Okay, well, because the carrion crawler hasn't come out yet, and its tentacles are
You
only
have a
about
tentacle.
it's only about 2 feet long, those tentacles, so you can stay outside of its range
Yep.
without too much trouble. So you can reach the wall without any fear of attack. And make
like
me
that.
a climb walls roll.
Okay,
I'm gonna
I
give you
have
a
a 60.
I'm going to give you a
Sorry,
plus
carry
10
on.
on this because the wall is knackered enough that it has plenty of hand and footholds. However, there is a random chance per round that you are actually attached to said wall of part of it giving way underneath you.
Awesome.
And I'm not going to
Thank
tell you how big a chance.
Yikes.
Well, I will roll my 70% climb wall.
Okay.
It's what I do.
Roll your
It's my
70%
primary
climb
thing.
wall.
Look on the bright side. If the wall comes away and you fall down, you've got an extra weapon to hit the carrion crawler with.
Well, if the wall comes away, I'm going to try and redirect it onto the carrion crawler.
Surf the falling wall onto the carrion crawler.
Yes,
Love it.
exactly. I've seen
Okay.
somebody surfing a bullet.
That would be much cooler than the thing involving walls and falling that I had in your D&D game, where I simply fell off one.
You know that bonus you gave me?
That was a
Yeah.
spider battle.
That's
wasn't
what
it?
I rolled.
That was the spider battle that you started, if I remember rightly.
You did, yes.
No, I don't. Did I start
You
it?
first
I
Definitely
remember
started the
party.
Twiglet battle.
fire
I can't remember
someone.
about the spider one.
You started the Twiglet battle, which attracted the spiders. Then, when the spiders web the party, you set fire to half the party.
Yes, you definitely did burn me.
I remember setting fire to half
I
the
rolled a
party.
10 fish. I got a 60 under my roll.
Okay, no problem whatsoever then. You readily nip up the side of the wall, and despite it being a little unclear, a little uncertain, not very stable underneath your hands and feet, with that roll you nevertheless managed to make it to the top in a single round. You're not stuck halfway up a wall. Now, you were going, if I remember rightly, for effectively just trying to get up and above it, weren't you? So that you can strike down from above the door. Fair enough.
However, if I see
Just put the dice tower
any-
back up long enough for me to roll these percentile dice.
Okay. Thanks.
They came out as 12. Who wants to
Okay.
guess what the percentage chance of the wall giving out was?
Oh no.
You
10?
know that surfing thing?
That's a very optimistic 10, isn't it?
25.
It's also a
fingers
very accurate one. I had, in fact, given that a 10% chance of the wall giving out.
I didn't dare say 15.
Is the roof intact, by the way? Because I couldn't see that from down there. This is new information.
No, the roof is not intact. From
Okay.
up here, it seems a bit redundant to reveal a chunk of nothing, but I will remove some fog of war so that instead of looking at black, you're looking at black.
Oh, charcoal.
From up here, though, you
Works.
can see far more clearly that while the corridor you came up through yes, was the worked proper, that's where that corridor wall goes. This wall behind the building is not actually a wall at all. It is essentially a slag pile. It is rubble that has come down from the ceiling. Behind this building was originally an open space, and from up here you can now see that the building went further back than it appeared. It was a larger building, and the back half is buried in rubble. As a result, there is no roof on the front section here. There are a few bricks sticking out from the walls that may once have supported structures that in turn supported a roof, but there's no actual roof. And looking down, you can see the back half of the carrion crawler inside that building.
Yep, that was my next question. I am changing my plans.
You dropping down the other side of the wall?
I am jumping down inside the building when I get the chance. I'm assuming that's going to be next round.
Yeah, because you climbed, I'm going to say that you've used your all of your movement up for this round.
No, that's
I
fair
will
enough.
let you get into position without another roll, however, so you can move round from where you climbed to the section of wall directly above the carrion crawler.
Next question. How high is this roof?
This roof is around 10 feet high.
Let's
If
see
you
if
land
have
on the
this
carrion
once.
crawler, no dice of damage. Because reality works that way. If you miss the carrion crawler and hit the floor, however, that extra 6 inches is going to hurt your ankles.
Okay, speaking as the person with a d6 hit die.
Yes.
So,
So what you're saying is, if you miss your soft landing, you could be toast.
yeah.
Potentially, yeah. On a
I could
maximum
die by
roll,
a
that could
sprained
take her
ankle.
out in a single go.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Could be worse, though, because Lucian has formed your front line despite having already taken damage in the first episode and not had any healing.
Shit, sorry?
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
a dry
drowning, didn't
HP.
Oh, for God's sake. We expect you to tell us these things.
See, Mark
Well,
has
I was
obviously been
expecting
playing
to
far
get
too
a
much,
break.
role-playing far too much with me, because
Yeah.
this is exactly the kind of thing that I have always done. For 30 years, Drut has been complaining. Well, no, because I haven't known her for the whole of my 30 years of gaming experience.
25
but
years.
For a large chunk of that, Drut has been complaining that I need to tell people when I'm low on hit points.
Abso-fragging-lutely. He has actually delivered the line, no, I've got 3, it's fine.
I'm still... Yeah, I never really got to very high levels in D&D, so I'm still of the opinion that anything in
shit.
double figures is awesome.
Okay, so...
Right, so
I'm
moving on, we
poised.
get to the carrion crawler. So unfortunately, this means that the carrion crawler is in a position to move forward because it's acting before the two people who are trying to force it back and keep it there.
Dang it.
I love the ambient, by the way.
Oh, it's coming across okay, is it?
It is.
It is, yeah.
It is, yeah. It's coming across nicely.
Okay, so yeah, the carrion crawler will move forward and will, of course, attack. Because of the I'm working on the principle that people do not stand there waiting till their initiative and then move. It's simultaneous action, and your initiative determines the order in which you get an opportunity to do something useful. So that means that Lucian and Twittle have, in fact, moved forward already, and that Carps is currently clutching a stone ready to throw it, just waiting for an opportunity. So that means the carrion crawler is going to be in a position where it's moved that it can attack Twittle and Lucian, but not Carps. Because although if I took it strictly, you would still be standing together when it moves forward because you haven't moved yet. But I don't like that. So yeah, they will have moved forward far enough that they are forming that front line. They just haven't had a chance to actually stop it coming out of the building or drive it back itself. So you're going to like this.
Not a lot.
It is effectively going to make 4 attacks against each of them.
What?
Because it can only get to 2 targets at the moment, so it is splitting its tentacles between them. 4 tentacles will lash out towards each of these 2 characters who are menacing.
Oh wait, it's okay. They're tentacles. I'm safe. I'm a guy.
What?
This is not hentai.
No.
damn.
No. You have lots of orifices right there available. Eyes, nose, throat, ears.
I can't
Right.
believe conversation went down that road.
So,
I know.
based on its
I'm
thaco,
here. What were you expecting?
it has hit armor class -3,
Ouch.
Oh, bollocks. I think
7.
covers it.
9, and 11. So obviously the 11's not hitting a damn thing.
No.
The
What armor
9
class
isn't
is
going to hit
everyone?
anything either. Now, what armor class? You're wearing chainmail with a shield, aren't you,
Yes,
Four,
I am.
isn't it?
Lucian? So, chainmail with shield means that only the armor class -3 is going to hit you. So one of the 4 attacks hits you. One you deflect with your shield. The other 2 just sort of lick around your chainmail without finding any access to
That's a lick.
the soft, vulnerable stuff underneath.
Oh, you're not
Yeah.
helping.
Hey, he brought up hentai, don't blame me.
He would bring up hentai waiting at a bus stop.
That's probably a bad idea unless you want to.
I haven't done that, but I have been playing idle games while on the bus.
What?
Oh,
No,
you know-
God.
but yeah, don't answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so the one tentacle that actually manages to find exposed flesh, which licks over the top of your shield and slaps you across the cheek, essentially. It bruises a bit, doesn't actually draw blood because it's not got anything sharp on it, but it's definitely going to leave a bruise. You take 2 hit points of damage, and make me a saving throw against paralysis, please. Which, for
Oh,
a
Oh,
first
shit.
level fighter, is going to be a roll of 14 or higher on a d20.
Let's move those out of the way. So 11 doesn't qualify.
11, as you say, does not qualify. So, even as you are raising your sword to strike back at this thing which had the temerity to slap you in the face, a strange lethargy comes over you, and your hand just sort of drops down to your side, and you stand still. You are indeed now paralyzed.
Oh,
I've taken
bollocks.
me.
Right, and now we roll to see if we can paralyze the other fighter in this first round of combat.
Yeah, how bad can it be? Shit.
Well, those 2 hitting armor class 15 aren't going to do a lot of good.
what about the other 2?
Yeah.
That one's not much better. That's hitting armor class 12. That one, however, hits armor class 0. So that is going to hit. Again, one of the tentacles manages to make it past
It only
Twittle's,
needs 1.
Buckler and delivers 1 point of damage to her.
It's not the damage that's the problem.
Make a note of. Would somebody care to make me a saving throw for her? She needs
Shall I do it?
14 or higher. Yeah, go on, but we wanted to make it, so you
That's
do it.
not a D20, guys. That was some knocking dice over. 14 or higher, yeah?
Yep.
Right, so a 17 will do that.
A 17 will most definitely do that.
And this is
Somebody
why I
else
like
can do
to
it
let
next time.
Drut do all the rolls, because she
She
blesses dice.
grimaces, clearly unhappy at being slapped in the face with a tentacle, but nevertheless is otherwise largely unhurt.
Oh.
I don't know. Right, well, it's Lucian's turn to stand drooling next, but we'll skip over that under the circumstances because what he's doing is standing and drooling.
Yeah.
Cops.
I'm going to
Throw
get
the
it
stone in
back
close
20-fold.
Okay, so make an attack roll
Double slap it on
with
the
your
face.
stone.
Yeah,
Now-
that is not going to hit a damn thing.
Are you?
Roll the
You're
four.
presumably aiming the stone at its head.
It doesn't hit me,
in its
does
general
it?
direction, to be honest. Anything
its
to make
general
it
direction.
think about whether it wants to move forward or not.
Yep.
Okay, well,
a tentacle
sort
hit
of
would be
in
nice.
between you and it are Cops and not Cops, Lucian and Twitter.
I'm cut.
So, are you going to throw effectively over Twittle's head, or are you going to move either right or left to get a clearer angle?
Well, I was moving to close the distance to it anyway, so
Yeah.
I would be moving. In my head, I was going left.
Yep, left is fine. Left is a nice big open area. It's where you came from originally.
That's what I was thinking.
The fact that it's the same direction that Shrine went in doesn't really make any difference. It's still a natural direction of
We
travel.
don't know what's to the right, basically.
So
Yeah.
under
All
the
I know, there's a whole
circumstances,
family of
I
these.
am going to assume then, if you're moving around that way anyway, that your target is going to be its body rather than its head, because it's a bigger target, and you're coming round sort of at an angle to the side anyway. So what did you actually get on your roll?
4.
4 is not going to hit a damn thing. No. You're lucky if you
That's
hit the
pretty
building.
much what I said. Broadside of a barn, maybe.
Yeah. A stone
could be
flies
the broadside
past
of a
Shrine's
barn,
head
this
as
disc.
she's getting ready to pounce on this carrion crawler. For a moment, she panics, thinking the carrion crawler has backup, and then she realizes it was just cubs. And you can indeed move in. You can. I'm not going to let you have another attack, but you can certainly get into melee distance. At this
That was the
point.
plan.
So
Yeah,
you're
I wasn't
coming in
expecting
from
to
the
be able to get
side.
into melee in the first round, so I thought do something to try and distract it while I close to melee.
Okay. You actually could have got into melee distance and meleeed if you hadn't chose to throw the stone, because bear in mind in second edition we're talking about a 1 minute combat round, so
That is true. I had forgotten
movement
that bit.
and so forth is quite a lot. But you've sacrificed your opportunity to strike with your axe in order to distract it. But you have made a good attempt at distracting it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a morale check, not to see if it runs away, but to see if it is distracted. So,
Again with the crossed fingers.
oh, morale special. Thanks, guys. That really helps. Checking combat. Oh, right. I see why. Okay, I'm just going to assign it a morale then for purposes of this, because it's not relevant. We'll call it a morale of 7.
Wasn't it the PC
Okay.
one that he got working?
It is not seemingly distracted. Your stone never even went particularly near it, and it's
too far away
still
to have any
focused.
effect.
Focused now primarily on Twittle, because it knows it's already got Lucian.
How dare you! It's humiliating.
And
That was it.
last and
Right.
least in terms of stature, Twittle, who the obvious thing is that she's going to attempt to chop into it with her short sword. Would somebody care to roll to attack for her?
Am I doing it, or is somebody else doing it?
I don't know how to roll for.
Just roll a d20.
Oh,
Roll
just
high.
roll a D20.
You go do it?
In that case, I'll do it because I don't have anything else to do at the moment.
Fair
No,
enough.
this is
That's the
true.
point,
Since,
yes,
you,
it's
since you
really-
can't control your character, you may as well control
Yeah.
Barry's.
14.
Right,
Ooh.
well,
Better
Twittle
than
has
kicking the teeth.
got an 18 Thaco, essentially. It's the standard 19 Thaco that everybody... Sorry, 20 Thaco that everybody has. I think everybody has a 20 Thaco, don't they?
Yeah.
Yes, they do. Standard 20 Thaco that everybody has, but she's got a high enough dex for a +2 to hit. So
Nice.
she's effectively got an 18 Thaco, which means that... did you say 14?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's hit armor class 4, which is a pretty good roll. So she bats aside one of the tentacles with her buckler to make room and lunges forward with her short sword in a quite dramatic manner that is really what Lucian should be doing rather than standing and drawing. And the point of her short sword indeed finds the beastie's face, but in a shock result, skitters off its chitinous armour.
Oh, sod off, fish! Come on!
Okay.
And I think some initiative rolls are in order.
Do you have a really big, like,
Please
icon
finish that
for
sentence.
TPK?
When you
No,
go for a
I've
I've
gold
got a
five.
sound. I've got a sound for TPK on Simonscape. Pretty much, I've got the sad trombone.
The word that I was looking for completely went out of my mind there.
Right, okay, let's have it. Oh, bloody hell. Okay.
Where has my D10? Oh, it's there. Semi-transparent blending in.
That carrion crawler is pretty damned awesome when it comes to initiatives. I do apologise.
Yeah, I'm just hoping I'm just a little bit more awesome this time.
Yeah.
What's the attack penalty for making a called shot? Or does a second ed not have that?
Right, okay. Base
-4.
second ed doesn't have that. However, there are rules for it. They are in primarily the Fighter's Handbook and in the Complete Fighter, rather. And as Drat says, I believe it is -4.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah,
could
I'm
make an
slightly
attack
scared that
at
was straight
-4,
out.
for example, to go for a tentacle. That would be one thing you could do as a called shot.
That was precisely what I was thinking. But at -4, when an attack roll that hit AC4 missed, or rather bounced off the
Yeah.
armor,
Yeah.
I'm
The odds of
rethinking
you-
that.
There are some weird rules that don't really work in these earlier editions with things like that. There are some creatures, for example, where if you hit a particular part of the monster, it's a much lower armor class. It's much easier to hit. But then when you put the -4 penalty in for making a called shot, it no longer is. You can tell that that's a hangover from first edition, which didn't have called shots at all. You just said, "Oh, I'm going to go for the tentacle," and that may or may not have had a different armor class.
Yeah.
Some things don't count as a called shot. So if you make a decision, for example, particularly on a large creature like this, whether you're going to go for the head or the body, if they have a different armor class, you're just using that armor class. It's not a called shot to go for the body.
Fishy.
So anyway, let's have some initiatives.
Yeah.
We'll go through. Let's just go in reverse order this time. Right, Lucian, what's your initiative? Sod all, doesn't it?
I rolled a 3.
Right, we'll take that roll for Twittle then, shall we?
Does Lucien get some sort of recovery roll in any number of
Lucien is
turns, or is it just he's
effectively,
out for X amount of time?
He is out for X amount of time.
Okay.
I should really roll how long, not that it matters, because it's measured in turns. That long.
That one.
That means it'll be a surprise when you suddenly find your metal again.
Yeah. So I've now completely. I do apologise. My brain. I don't know where my brain is today, apart from not in here. So, what did you say you rolled, Mark?
I rolled a 3.
A 3, and I believe it works out at a weapon speed of 3 for Twittle. So that means her initiative is 6. Nightbites.
I rolled a 1.
A 1. Okay.
Yes.
Impressive.
Nice.
Less
And
impressive when you factor in my axes.
Yeah.
Battle axe. Yeah, battle axe speed factor 7.
Yeah.
Is your dexterity high enough to get
No.
an initiative bonus? It isn't.
No.
Right. Okay.
My dexterity is bog standard, above average, but not that
That's
far
right.
above
Yeah,
average.
it is, isn't it? It's just under anything that would give you a bonus. Drat, on the other hand, I believe does get an initiative bonus.
I have a -1, yeah.
Yeah. And your actual initiative?
Can I just check? Will I be able to attack this round? Because if so, my weapon speed will be a factor.
Yes, you are able to attack this round.
Right. Does it know I'm there? In which case, I got a 5 in total.
5 in total. That's pretty damn impressive.
Rolled a 2. I've got a weapon speed of 4 with my rapier.
Okay, so that puts
-1
you once
mod.
again going first.
I'm loving the 99 for Lucien.
Had to keep him at the bottom of the list somehow.
My turn will be next year.
Okay, Drat. So yeah, you are.
If you live that long.
Shrine is standing on top of the wall. You have the carrion crawler has moved forward. So while you could still jump into the building and just sort of like catch the very tail end of it, the bulk of its body is now outside the building. But you could still drop down the other side and attack it from above that way if you wish. You've seen that Lucien has been struck by one of the tentacles and appears to be incapacitated.
Okay. Okie dokie.
These battles aren't very glorious.
If I try to drop by using my offhand to drop, basically hang drop, without just sort of flinging myself down, that will land me on the floor behind the carrion crawler, yeah?
Yes, it will.
Does it know I'm here?
It has given no indication of knowing that you're here. That's the best you can say.
In that situation, I would be attempting the backstab maneuver.
I have already explained to you before we came on stream.
No,
you cannot
that was a
backstab
different
it.
situation. I've
You
just
cannot.
been reading
You
it.
cannot backstab at all.
Can't you?
No. The rules explicitly state that in order to
Uh-huh.
backstab a creature, you need to understand its anatomy. You do not know the anatomy of a
That's it?
carrion crawler. It may be in the DMG, not the player's handbook,
Ah, okay.
but
fair
yes, you can't backstab things like zombies, ghosts, dragons, anything that you can't say that's a vulnerable point, I'm going to stab it.
enough. Oh, no, that's not what it says. It says it must be generally humanoid. Okay, fair enough. No
Well,
problem.
yeah, but it's clarified more in the DMG.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough.
This is
I'll
not
have to
generally
rely on-
humanoid.
Yeah, I'll have
Not
to
even
rely on
remotely
Robinson
humanoid.
to backstab it at some point.
Yeah.
To
The
dissect one at
clarification
some point.
actually makes it better for you,
Yeah.
because this does
No,
mean, of
that's
course,
fair
that if you have a proficiency that means you understand the anatomy of a non-humanoid creature, you
Yeah.
can attempt to backstab it.
No,
but
that's
you
cool.
don't.
That was worth a shot.
You'll get a
given
plus
how
2 to
screwed
hit
we are.
from attacking from the rear, but you still can't backstab it.
Ah, I will take that all day then.
Yeah, I'll give you that plus 2 if you're attacking from above as well, if you jump onto its back, because it's still essentially attacking from the rear.
No,
It's-
I'm going to get out
it's
of their way.
disadvantaged either way.
Yeah, if I do this from behind, I'll be out of their way,
Right.
so they can attack
Do
it
you
from
have
front.
the tumble proficiency?
Don't be stupid.
Right. So, if you're going to do this hang drop,
Yeah.
if you had tumble, that would not be a problem.
Nope.
Without
It's
tumble,
going
there
to
is
be
a
a dex
chance
check.
that could
Oh.
use up the whole of your movement.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the tumbling proficiency as a base for that, but you don't have the tumbling proficiency, which means you're
No.
going to be using half the value you would have for tumbling. So that's half your dexterity,
Equal to or less than an 8.
equal to or less than an 8.
At least I've got a halfway decent dex. Come on. Drum roll, please, kids.
I didn't add a drum roll sound effect.
3!
Yay!
Okay.
Hey!
So yes,
Sorry.
you cautiously lower yourself off the side of the
I Llama Croft my way down.
the wall, and then drop lithely to your feet behind the carrion crawler. Still with enough action left this round to attack it.
Ha ha ha! Rapier.
Stab it!
Yeah, stab him, stab him.
Stab him! Stab him!
Have you met
No,
stab him?
haven't. Yeah. Yeah, both going to Red Dwarf there.
Okay, so hang on. Yes, oh, maybe she's a different die because that one was rolling low. Right. That is a 16.
16, and
Do
your-
I get my reaction
back.
adjustment to hit?
You essentially you get your missile attack adjustment bonus
Yeah,
to hit
so
on
yeah,
melee
same
weapons
thing.
as well. With when you've
Um,
house ruled it.
Yeah. So 17
So
in total.
you've basically hit armor class 3 then.
Yeah.
You should
Armor
know.
class 2. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, I added it in 2 different
You
directions.
added it twice. You added it to the
Yeah,
die roll and
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I tend
To
to
my
adjust
backer,
that
yeah,
so I
sorry.
don't need to worry about modifying
I
the
had
die roll. It's
adjusted
easier that
Thaco.
way.
I had adjusted Thacker, and then my brain went, no, you have to add that. So yes, I hit armor class 3.
Okay, so you hit armor class 3 and your what is it you're using? You're another axe
Rapier.
wielder, aren't you? Oh no, rapier, of course.
Rapier,
No, that's right.
single weapon.
That's I misremembered. It was in fact an axe that bounced off the carrion crawler. That's what Twittle uses. She has an axe and a buckler.
We've got 2 axe wielders.
We have 2
Apparently
axe
so.
wielders, yeah.
Cool.
Hers is much smaller than his.
And I carry
So-
2, so.
Yeah.
You lunge forward with your rapier, and there is a squeal of pain. I don't think I've actually got a squeal of pain noise, unfortunately, so I won't be assaulting
Oh,
your
I got
ears
the
with
plus
it.
2 to hit, didn't I? So actually, it hit armor class
Plus
1.
2 to hit, yep.
Yeah.
And
one.
you do indeed. The point sinks in to the leathery but relatively soft flesh of its rear quarters.
When in doubt, stab it in the bum.
Very nice.
Absolutely. And this is I think these are large creatures, aren't they? Let me just check its
Please
size.
be a
Size
large
large,
creature.
yes, it's about 9 feet long. Its size is indeed large.
Yes.
Which means you are using
Sorry.
your large damage. I
D8
don't
plus
actually have the
1.
rapier damage in front of me because
I do.
It's not on the GM screen because it's from a source.
It's piercing, speed 4, D6 plus 1, or a D8 plus 1 for medium
So,
and
D8
large, respectively.
D8 plus 1 because this is a large creature.
Don't fail me now. 8 in total.
Really? 8 in total.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
I'm willing to grab my camera and point it.
Okay, the point of your rapier sinks in a good 3 to 4 inches into the back of this thing, which squeals in.
Like a stuck pig.
It makes an unearthly sound that none of you have ever heard anything like it before, which echoes off the walls around you in a most alarming way.
Oh, that can't be good.
It thrashes, almost tearing the rapier from your hand as you're withdrawing it from the wound.
I'm hoping it hasn't got enough space to turn around without draining itself on the building.
It's quite good for turning because it's segmented. It's kind of like a centipede type thing, only much bigger.
Segmented for an easy feel.
So that means that it can actually turn back on itself relatively easily.
Were it not
Or you would
halfway
assume
through
that
a
means
wall.
that anyway, from what you've seen of it, because you don't really know.
Yes, I don't know enough about its anatomy to know that, Fishy.
Fortunately, it's
so
halfway through a wall, so
Yeah.
Having failed to damage the thing's head last round, what do we think Twittle is going to attempt, boys and girls?
I think she might be tempted to try again.
Go for it again? Yep, okie dokie.
Yeah.
So-
If you don't succeed, try again.
Absolutely. Another attack roll then. Somebody.
Attack rolls are
D20.
D20. A 3.
I do love the
That's
ambience.
not going. No, that unfortunately that almost attacks Cops, and he's nowhere near her. Okay, so yeah, she again, batting aside the creature's defenses with her buckler, she attempts to swing an axe at its head, but in this instance, she just can't seem to find an opening. Everywhere she goes, there's a tentacle in the way, and she ends up just waving her axe around fairly pointlessly and never making the strike.
To be fair, that's the other reason I decided not to attack from the front, because there's no paralysing tentacles at the arse.
In response, the carrion crawler sends another 4 tentacles her way.
Oh boy.
Only 4.
Hmm.
Oh boy.
Only 4. However, two of
definition
them
of only.
hit in this.
Oh
situation.
shit.
So,
Saving throw a go-go.
oh, look at that. She takes 2 points of damage from each of them. So she's taken 5 hit points of damage so far and needs 2 saving throws now against paralyzation.
Oh
Which we
god.
have already established is 14 or higher if somebody would like to roll them.
I will roll one. Somebody want to roll the other?
Okay,
I'm going to switch dice.
Drut, you roll the first one first.
14.
Makes that one.
8.
Okay. 2 of your 3
Well done.
fight warriors are now paralyzed.
Oh shit.
There's no honour in this.
Her
Which said like this.
Limbs
There's no honour in
go
this.
slack and the axe clatters
Double
to the
again.
floor as she stands listless and unmoving. The carrion crawler, meanwhile, twists around on itself in exactly the way that I said it probably could. And
That's subtle foreshadowing.
yes, very subtle. As it swings past him, it throws 2 tentacles in Carp's direction.
Wacko.
However, the best it managed there is armor class 7. What armor class is he?
7.
7. That's going to
Oh,
be a
shit.
hit.
This
See,
could
the-
be a really
For
short fight.
1 point of damage and a saving throw, please.
Oh god.
D20 on the saving throw, yeah?
Yep.
20 okay?
20 is absolutely fine. Yeah, I'll allow you the 20. That one will work. But as I
Nice.
said, you did take that damage.
Yeah.
And then it's effectively doubled right back on itself, and the last 2 tentacles will be coming.
Come for me.
Yeah,
I
that's
thought
right.
I got away with it for too long.
And that's armor class 1, so that's definitely going to hit you.
Oh bollocks.
dear.
And I'm guessing the armor class 5 will hit you as well,
Hang on a sec.
because you're wearing
AC 4
leather of
when
some-
using a single weapon.
of course, you're fencing. Yeah. Okay, so the
I am
second.
fencing. I handily deflect one of them.
Yes, one tentacle is nudged aside by the stinging
rapier.
point of your rapier, but unfortunately you don't notice the
Yeah.
other one coming in from the side. And it
Paralyzation,
deals
poison, and
2
death.
points of damage to you.
Oh.
And you're actually going to be using your rogue save for this, because it's a point better, so you need 13
Right.
or higher.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think I've got my saves down. That's about all I haven't
Fortunately,
got.
they're on the GM screen, which I have here in front of me, so I
Handy.
can look them up.
Helpful.
Okay, so what do I need?
You need 13 or higher.
13 or higher. Keep them crossed,
Yeah,
kids.
the multi-class characters in this
Have fun
edition
finishing
use
this
the
fight
best
on your own.
save in each category.
Which makes sense.
We're
Yeah.
doomed.
But we do have double the XP requirements of everybody else. Because you have to level up in everything. Your XP
I'm
is
not
only go
blaming
50-50.
you, by the way, for Twittles being paralysed, Mark. I'm blaming Mechiador, because he said Robinson don't fail Twittle. Doomed it. Absolutely doomed it.
18.
18. Well, 18 is higher than 13 last time I checked.
It is.
Hey,
So
there.
you
I'm
take
going
the
down
2 points of damage, but you are not
Yep.
paralysed. So you must have 8 hit points at max, yeah?
I have you.
Yeah. Again, hit points are really complicated for multi-class characters. You basically get the hit points from all of your classes divided by the number of your classes. So at first level, that's nice and easy.
Yeah.
It's
And then you
16,
take half the value, basically.
D10 and a D6, maximum
Yeah.
values at first level. 16, you get 8 hit points. When you level up, it gets slightly trickier, because then rounding starts to come in. Because numbers that would round up, if you roll them both at the same time, will round down, potentially, when you roll them separately.
If I level up, she says optimistically, is it worth rolling a D10 and a D6 and halving it, or just doing it for each class as you level up?
No, because actually it works the other way around. You actually get a benefit.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
it actually does mean... If you're halving the die,
Yeah.
when you halve the result from both dice, you don't get to round up twice. If you halve the result on 2 dice, 0.5 rounds up, so you can actually round up both dice. So you actually do get an advantage thinking about it.
Okay.
I got it the wrong way round.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not
I
arguing
think
that
all
then.
these years, I think I've only just realised that you get better hit points if you level your classes at separate times.
Not a problem then. I will be leveling
And
separately.
provided you're only double class. If you're triple class, then they're going to round
You're up
down
the
every
creek,
time,
isn't it?
and you're never going to round up. Triple class characters may be what I was thinking of, that you get a disadvantage for.
If you're triple class,
Oh,
you
the
never level up
complexities.
anyway.
Well, no, you never level up when you've got 3 classes anyway, no. Okay. So that was the Carrion Crawler.
I'll tell you what, Mickey, he's 2 adventures away for taking a snack to his CNH session this evening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he'll be sitting
What's
on
on the
ice
pizza
ice
this
cube
week?
for a
Oh,
while.
halfling and human.
Yeah, but he left the backer
So-
on.
Carps, Storm Squall. Things are looking bad here. And
Things are looking
you're
bad. I've
found
got
out
2
paralysed, aren't you? Or no, you made it. You're not paralysed.
No,
you
I
rolled
made
a
it.
20. You're fine.
I'm
The
fine.
half elves.
I've got 2 axes. I want to dig into this thing.
That's the point. The half elves have
Okay.
paralyzation with resistance.
No, you're thinking specifically of ghouls. Ghoul paralysation doesn't affect elves.
Ah,
Other
that's it.
paralisations do.
Okay, Dodo.
Right.
Have a good evening.
All right, Dodo. Thanks for stopping by. Catch you later. So 13 on the first axe, which is going to get me, if I've got this right, armor class 7. So that's not going to do much.
Hmm. And the second one?
And the second one,
Did you take ambidexterity as a proficiency, by the way?
yes.
You did.
No, I took 2. I took 2 weapon style.
I'm trying to remember whether that cancels the ambidexterity in this edition. Whether that rather
That cancels the penalty for.
it does it?
Yeah.
It certainly cancels the penalty for having an additional weapon. I can't remember whether it does the ambidexterity, but at the same time, you actually did spend non-weapon proficiencies on slots on something that you got for free anyway. So if we'll assume there's no penalty, and if after the fact it turns out there should have been, then you can buy the ambidexterity because
Sounds fair.
you paid for tracking, and you actually do get tracking for free as a ranger, even as
Oh,
a sea
right.
ranger. You just have a penalty. Your chances of tracking on land are halved, but you still get tracking for free.
Right. Either way, both axes just bounced off. 13's on both. So armor
13's
class
on both.
7.
Right. Well, much to your surprise, 13 is in fact exactly what you needed when attacking the
Oh.
body rather than the head, which is a different armor
AC
class.
7.
Is AC 7.
Nice.
So, roll large damage, please, with both axes.
That's the maths. Thinks
Which
she
is
needs
going
a 12,
to be
right?
D8.
D8.
Because they do the
Yeah,
same on each
have some.
size.
So it's a 5 and a 6.
A
Nice.
5 and a 6. So, let's take the 5 off. Everybody looking at that little green bar? Can you see the little green bar? No, you can't. Oh, no.
No.
I thought the little green bar was visible, but
Little
it's
green bar
not.
not visible to humans.
I do
Or us.
apologise. Is it
One
visible
sec.
now? Yes, now the little green
yes.
bar is visible. You probably
It was
can't
nice
see
and
that there is a
scratchy.
little green bar because there's so little in it.
I think the 8 might flatten it, you know.
And bam. Your first axe takes a chunk out of its side and it squeals and starts to move back round towards you, veering away from Shrine. But as it does so, using its own momentum against it, you embed your second axe into still the softer flesh, but of the neck, just behind the armor of the head.
Cool.
You don't take its head off. It's a large creature, but the amount of blood that spurts out is prodigious. And it squeals, shakes, shudders, and collapses to the floor.
Golf clap.
You
And for
have
my own
slain a
Patch, patch,
carrion
patch,
crawler at the cost of only 2 party members
Technically, they're not dead yet.
that
Yet.
you know of. I mean, for all you know, it's sucked their brains out somehow through this tentacular attack.
Looking at Lucian's previous actions, that would be a small target, and I don't think it was that accurate.
No, I didn't roll a 20.
Okay.
Right.
What? Oh, right. Okay, sorry. Clambering over the body of the carrion crawler then, largely to make sure it's dead. Tromp, 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 tromp.
Does Lucian's attire have any sort of cape or flowing appendage that I could wipe the blood off my axes with?
I think it's reasonable to assume he has a cloak, yes.
Excellent.
He's the sort who wears cloaks. Possibly even has
Some
a...
mantle.
Yeah, he probably does indeed have a surcoat or tabard of some kind with his former master's coat of arms on it.
His
Now
cloak has now become a towel. I shall use it to clean my axes.
If you use a tabard that has my former master's coat of arms on it, and you know,
I'm not. I don't want to use the
very
tabard,
violent
just to-
emotions.
You don't want to
might be coming
disrespect
in
the
your
dead,
direction.
do you?
No, precisely.
No, to be
I do
honest,
have a
though,
semblance of honour.
It's-
it now
his
says
Draugr could
Will
come
hench
climbing
for
out of
food.
that river and come looking for you if you did that.
Exactly.
Oh,
Once I've cleaned the
fantastic.
axes, I'll look him square in the face. Thanks a lot, mate, and give him a couple of slaps on the cheek.
Just you, I'm afraid, Mechidor. No acid blood in this instance.
Yeah. I'm going to poke Twittle. I'm going to put my rapier away and poke Twittle with my finger.
Okay. There is
See how she's actually doing.
There is some response. You can hear a sort of a high-pitched, muffled, choking sound that, after a moment, you figure out is actually that she's trying to talk. So she's clearly conscious and
Okay.
aware, but she just doesn't seem to have control of her muscles, even to the point of not being able to speak at this point.
Right.
If you had a medical person here, which you
We
don't,
Don't.
and they studied, they would find, for example, that in both of them's case, their heartbeat is there but very slow. Their autonomic systems are still working, but everything is working at a minimum level, and they're not capable of active motion. Because that makes, as a natural poison-based paralysis, that makes more sense to me than the good old-fashioned, hey, look, I've just turned into a statue.
Okay. Let's have a look at the map. For some reason, Roll20 just tried to open 3 windows, and that confuses me.
Okay, that's a bit weird.
Yeah. Right. Should we get them into the corridor? Because we know there's nothing down there.
Seems like a sensible idea.
Okay, I mean,
Get
you
out
can
of
do that
danger.
easily enough between
Yeah.
the two of you. Yeah, the halfling
and
takes
hope-
no effort whatsoever.
Yeah.
The guy in
hope
chainmail's
that
a
they
little bit
recover.
trickier,
That's
but-
going to be one under each arm,
yeah.
isn't it?
but
You mean I can't just sort of...
you can
drag
kind
him
of
by his collar?
rearrange him pretty much however you want. He will stand
Oh, I'd love to do that.
stand rather listfully, but will happily sit down. And because he has no control over his muscles, he literally can't change what you do to him. So you've basically you've got a living
little
doll
teapot.
here. Doesn't even have enough muscular control to glare properly.
I was just going to sort of lie him on the floor, grab his collar, and drag him along by his heels.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fair
that'll work.
enough,
It'll
then.
make quite a lot of noise because you're dragging chainmail along a stone floor.
Yeah. Can I
How
suggest
far does the
instead?
chainmail go? Is it not just a chain shirt? Is it full chainmail, legs as well?
It's not full chain, but it
Mid-thigh,
is
isn't it?
probably a long hawbuck. So I would imagine
Okay.
at armor class 5, you're probably looking at it covering sort of the upper arm about halfway to the elbow and down to just above the knees.
Fair
Okay.
enough. How much
mid-thigh,
effort would it be to give this guy a fireman carry, as he currently is?
How
strength?
The
strong
sort
actually
of
are you?
carry that-
You're about
Strength 15.
strength 15. Strength 15 is good enough. You can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of the
That
same
should
sort of
be
carry that you'd give to various sacks of materials and supplies you're
Yeah.
taking aboard a ship.
The moment
about
you
as much
start,
care.
the moment that you
Yeah.
start moving him, his shield and sword will drop from his numb fingers.
Well, I was thinking that we might take those away.
Take
and
those away
Yeah,
first.
Lash
fair
them,
yes.
or put them somewhere where they're not going
Yeah.
to drop to the floor and make a lot of noise.
I'll nip into the corridor, lean them up against the wall, and then let him transport that.
That works.
Then, while he's dragging him out, I'm just going to make sure that the carrion crawler didn't have a mate.
Okay, so
Or
you're
kids.
checking out the
I'm checking
building
out
that-
the
We're
lair.
looking for Martha.
Essentially.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
concerned about potential for Martha.
Yeah, indeed looking for Martha. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So inside, this building is pretty knackered, as I said. The roof has come in on it and collapsed its own roof. Much of the floor is broken up. It did have a tiled floor at one point, but the tiles are almost all shattered now. As a result of which, while you're poking around for any space large enough to hold a nasty, you notice that beneath one of the shattered tiles there is actually an open space,
Hello.
about a foot square.
Okay. Dagger in hand, and reiterate that I wear gloves because
Okay.
I don't trust you. Because rock gloves.
You
rock
walk up to
gloves
the
are a
open
thing.
space and you tell it that you're wearing gloves. The space does not respond.
No, thank you.
It
No,
would be scarier if it did
I've-
respond.
I've
It
had
would
too
be.
many encounters with rock grubs in my gaming
Yeah,
career.
rock grubs are nasty.
Yeah. Okay, yes, I'm going to have a poke around in the empty space, in the open space
Okay.
underneath. Pull up the remains of the tile covering
So
it.
you carefully remove the remains of the tile, and inside the space you find a small wooden and leather chest. Not too rotten, but looking pretty fragile now because it's been here for quite some time.
Okay. I shall hoik that out. I take it there's no
Okay.
other sign of life in here.
No other sign of life in here, no. The chest
Okay.
proves to be quite heavy when you lift it.
Oh.
The chest itself clearly is not. You can see from its construction that it shouldn't weigh very much at
Yeah.
all, so something heavy is in it.
I think if it's that fragile, I think it's going to fall apart if I try and carry it. I'm going to attempt to open it.
Okay, you slide a dagger into the crack and angle it sideways. Rather than breaking the lock as you would normally be attempting to do, in this case the lock stays exactly where it is and just the top of the lid of the chest tears
It's going to be
around
the top slat, yeah.
it. And inside you see a large number of gold coins.
Well, there's a good start to the day.
Number of gold coins.
Oh.
The kind of numbers of gold coins that can be life-changing for a young adventurer. If only they didn't technically, under the terms of your employment, belong to your boss.
Yeah. There's nothing saying that we had to share.
But at the moment, no one except you knows they're here. For anybody watching on VOD or on YouTube after I put it up there, because chat doesn't appear on screen, Mekidor in chat has just suggested that was Henry's poker stash, and that she should keep her hands off it.
I'm going to
Also,
poke
for
my
anybody
head.
watching in Nightbite stream, of course.
Yeah, I'm going to poke my head out of the hole at the front. Cups. Something for you to see.
All
On the
right.
grounds that everyone else is spark out.
You've just finished arranging the tableau of whatever you want, really, with the other two.
Prop him up against the wall.
If only the camera phone had been invented, you could have such fun.
So
You need a
Lucian's
little
doing the
box
little
with
teapot.
pictures in it.
Yes. Draw really, really fast.
Right. What?
Get your ass in there.
Say
You
what?
asked. That's the way you talk to a colleague.
Wait, yes.
What do we have?
Looky what I found.
Okay.
On the floor is this small chest, and it becomes very obvious as you approach that inside it is a lot of gold.
Mm-hmm.
Now, technically, this
Can I hear this?
Why do you think I called him into the building?
I will allow a perception check, essentially, to see if you can hear this. You're not a thief, so you don't have the hear noise skill. So, what I'm going to do, I will check what a first level thief has for hear noise, and give you less than that.
Mecky, what a sick puppy.
Okay, where do we have the thief? There do we have the thief.
I'm not spending it after it comes out the other end.
Okay, so the base score for a thief is 15% on hear noise. So I'm going to, again, arbitrarily decide that non-thieves will have a flat 10% that never gets any better on detect noise. So you've got a 10% chance of hearing this then. If they were closer, I'd have made it just a wisdom or intelligence roll. But this is far enough away to actually justify the detect noise skill.
Yeah, I don't hear it.
Okay. So
Too bad.
Now, technically, this should be declared as spoils to be divvied up. However,
We're
I don't see this as being a Church of Shah.
no.
No. We were hired to retrieve treasure from the Temple of Shah.
Correct. So they said.
Yep. Therefore, I am inclined to say that it would only add to confusion in accounting if we were to include stuff that was not part of the Temple of Shah. When perhaps an even four-way split would render this far more portable, and we wouldn't have to bother them about adding in and then sorting out people's shares afterwards. We can just present them with one big lump sum from the Temple of Shah when we find it.
One problem with that.
Oh, yeah?
The pillar with the shield has high ideas of position and rank and morality of a sort. I have an inkling he might want to declare said found treasure.
Well, we've got a couple of options. A three-way split. Or we dispose of him before the treasure is counted, which is not an option, but it's on the table. Not what I'd do, but I can understand there are some people in a more egregious line of work who might consider that an option. I
You're
don't know
missing
how many
option
people.
3.
Yeah. Option 3 is a 4-way split and we don't tell him till we're out.
That works, yes. I like option 3.
Option 3 appeals to me. It'll be a little present for him for having been paralysed.
Yes. And
Yeah.
given that he wasn't in full control of his muscles, he might need it to clean up afterwards.
Thanks for that image. I'm thinking, we can present it as a little present, tell him to go and buy himself something pretty. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
No harm, no foul. Nobody's diddled, and we don't have to worry too much about, awkward people. So
Yeah, so that makes... Yeah.
Yeah, so
I like
I'll
that.
tell you what, we do a 4-way split now, and instead of attempting to pass stuff off to short arse out there, take 2 shares each and then divvy them when we get the chance.
Or I just take my share, you look after the others and divvy them when you see fit.
I was thinking you're the beefier one, but yeah, okay.
I might
Fair
lose
enough.
count.
Okay then.
You sound
Right.
like you know this. What was it you said? Accounting? Thing.
It's a swift assessment of financial potential is part
Reflected
of my
sound
line
as
of
of
work.
underground spirits. That's what this is. Sorry for anyone who
long?
doesn't know Pratchett. And I am sorry for anyone who doesn't know Pratchett.
Yeah.
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 I think given that you seem to have a head for all this numbers and money and
Okay.
the right and wrong of what we need to be doing, you just give me my share.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Okay. Right. In that case, Fish, how fast can I divvy this up into 4?
Certainly quicker than the sooner of your 2 companions will reawaken.
That was my next question. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, you'll be about finishing when Twittle comes around, because I rolled lower for her than for Lucia.
Okey-dokey.
So
Right
just
then.
as you've got your 4 piles neatly organised, and you think they're even, they seem to be the same height, you hear
I'm not trying to
the
divvy
sound
into
of a high-pitched halfling
the
coming
pitched
forward,
halfling.
wanting to know where you are.
Woo-hoo. Let's go.
I can't do that voice, so I'm not going to attempt to talk as Twittle.
Okay. I can't do it either. Not for any
I
length of time. My
have
natural
added
voice is about
to-
2 octaves lower.
I've been meaning to do this and forgot all about it for the last 2 sessions. I have just added to the stream a record for brownie point dice.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
right.
You have earned a D4 brownie point die for this conversation, basically. And I can't remember what it was that you earned a brownie point die for before. I think it was the rescues during the dragon attack. The fact that you actually did something rather than just watching them drown. But you have, therefore, 2 D4 brownie point dice for use. Pretty much the same way we've always used them before. You roll them to add to any die. And there's whoever earns them, they go into a communal pool. And there is a potential veto, and if somebody wants to veto the use of brownie point dice, then we have a vote. But normally, we haven't had to vote on it yet.
Okay. Fishy, I am using a sack for the other 2's shares. What I'll do is I'll put 1 pile into the sack, twist it, and then the other pile into the other half past the twist. That should be able to fold up, shouldn't jingle too much, and that can sit at the bottom of my backpack.
Okay.
And my stuff can go in with my personal funds. If you find anything else heavy, you're carrying it. Fortunately, I have a halfway decent strength.
Oh, this is going to take forever.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm trying to put a record of Knight's natural 20 into the D20 counter. But unfortunately, it's small enough that I just keep catching the resize when I'm trying to move it. So I'm having to move it manually across the stream. So our viewers are now watching the number 1 just moving slowly around the stream, around the page, for no reason whatsoever. So So that's what that is, for those of you wondering why that's happening.
It is quite interesting to watch.
So you have got now then, yes, 4 bundles of gold. You don't get an accurate count because you're divvying them up quickly rather than actually counting. However, you would say that you seem to have a couple of 100 gold each there.
Very nice.
It's a good start to the day. Definitely picked the right option, I think.
So you mean, and not running away?
Yeah. We're hard on to do a job. We just haven't done the job yet. This is the prelude to the job.
You've done
this
part
is
of
the
the job.
warm-up.
Your important part of the job is scouting and finding a safe route through. You have removed one menace from the path of the rest of the party. The fact that they could have stood back and peppered it with arrows and killed it much more easily without anyone getting paralysed is completely irrelevant.
We don't tell them that bit.
Nope.
So,
by the way,
a few minutes
good.
after,
I can cope with this.
a few minutes after you presumably explain your plan carefully and the reasons why she should shut up about it to Twittle.
Yep.
I was in favour of not telling Twittle at all until the
I
whole
was
thing
in
was
favour
over.
of not telling Twittle either, because
I think the idea was we weren't going to tell Twittle or his nibs out what went on.
Unfortunately, she came across you as you were finishing up making these parcels of coins.
Okay,
so.
In which case I'm carrying 2 shares, and Twittle can have hers, and is told very carefully to keep it quiet and not play with it.
Keep it quiet, you say. She immediately jingles the purse.
No, the other quiet, or the bad men will take it away from you. And that's at least 3 axes and a suit of armour.
Okay, well, her little halfling eyes light up at the thought of 3 axes
Exactly.
and a suit of armour.
Wrap it up neatly, back to bottom of your backpack, forget about it.
The coins go into her backpack in between a couple of sandwiches that she has got stored just in case. She is a halfling, after all.
Well, yeah, fair enough. On it like a halfling on the sandwich.
Yep.
Let's play Blood Bowl.
No, let's play D&D. Right, so you after you've explained everything to Twittle and hidden away the gold, you can head back to just round the corner where you have left Lucian, and a few minutes later he will awaken. It's been about 10 minutes now since the fight, and nothing has yet turned up. So as far as you're aware, it seems like the fight did not attract attention.
That's a plus.
Fishy, are you willing to allow...
But you haven't done any more exploring because that time was pretty much taken up making a decision and divvying up gold.
Are you willing to allow a little bit of a retcon to the character?
I can probably allow a little bit of a retcon, yes.
On a skill that hasn't been used yet?
Yeah, certainly on skills that haven't been used.
Because on looking at... While Drop was doing the investigation bit and looking at the puddle of stuff to be picked up, I did a quick look up on Ambi. And it's not in the main. It's not in PHB. It's in the Complete Fighters.
Complete Fighter? I had a feeling it was, yeah.
It is there. It's a weapon proficiency. So would you allow swapping the harpoon skill for Ambi?
Your intelligence slots can be used for weapon or non-weapon proficiencies. And as I say, you spent 2 slots on tracking, which you actually got for free. So one of those slots can be used for ambidexterity, and you still have 1 slot that has yet to be assigned.
Excellent. Then I know what that one. I know what that 1 slot needs to be then.
Okay.
And it makes so much sense in terms of the character background. Carpenter.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Yeah. Right. Fair enough.
That'll do.
I spent about an hour trying to work out the best way to juggle everything around. So I got. And in the end, I discarded it. But if I've got the spare slot, it has to be Carpenter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean.
Basically, you missed the fact that tracking is free for a ranger,
I did,
and paid for it. So therefore. According to the text file that you sent me, you'd spent 2 slots on it, so therefore that means you had 2 slots still available. So that's ambidexterity and carpentry. You are sorted for that.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Just out of curiosity, then,
Mm-hmm.
how badly off is everyone? And that is once Lucian wakes up. It's how badly off are you? And
I
don't
just
be
got
noble
bruised,
about it.
Lucian is badlier off than, I mean, just from looking at them, Lucian is badlier off than Twiddle is. And I know badlier isn't a word, I don't care.
We haven't got any healing
Twiddle's
potions or
looking
anything.
a bit bruised, but Lucian is looking bruised and generally still
Missing
a
a
bit
shoulder.
green around the gills and weak
Yeah.
and somewhat listless from his previous experiences.
And there's no medical skills.
Well,
There are, but
actually
not
is,
for
but
us.
you don't have it.
Yeah.
You can
We
attempt
haven't-
a healing proficiency unskilled if you wish.
I'll give
Is
that a go.
learning first aid a skill that I could pick up?
That is a good
Does
point.
somebody
You don't
with
have
wisdom
your
higher than
proficiencies
9
determined
want to
yet.
try it?
So healing first aid is a skill that is likely to be taught to squires. So I
Yeah,
will,
that makes sense,
I have no
actually.
problem with you having the healing proficiency. Let's have a look. Right. Unfortunately, you need to tend someone within 1 round of them being wounded.
Yeah.
I don't like
Oh
that.
dear.
That's ridiculous. It means that you can only do any good for somebody with first aid if it's within a minute of the injury. I think that rules out every emergency room in the world as
Yeah.
being a
Yeah.
complete waste of taxpayers' money.
Yes.
So we'll extend that minute to a reasonable seeming amount. The GM will decide whether or not you're allowed to use it. And in this instance, I'm going to allow it because, part of his hit point loss was drowning. So that's something he should be able to recover from reasonably well.
Yeah.
So on a successful healing proficiency roll, which I'm going to penalize because he's doing it on himself,
That makes sense.
you
Yeah.
will be able to get a D3 hit points back. Your healing proficiency checks are rolling against your wisdom at -2. So checking your wisdom. God, this is
where
slow.
we wish one of us had brought a cleric.
I've been
You have a
wishing one of
10
us had
wisdom,
bought a
which means your
cleric
healing
for a while.
healing proficiency is rolled
8.
on 8 or less. And I'm going to give you a
Yikes.
further -2 for doing it to yourself. So you need 6 or less to get your D3 hit points back.
Oh boy.
Okay.
What's the untrained penalty for this?
The untrained penalty is that you'd be rolling against half your wisdom.
Oh shit. So 4.
I'd still have more chance than him.
Yeah. If somebody else wants to do it instead, you can assume that he's just giving you instructions rather than
Yeah, that would
tending
make
to
sense.
himself.
Yeah. Don't let me know it. My wisdom is 9.
My wisdom is 14.
So yeah, the
I have
ranger
a
with the
common
high
sense
wisdom makes
bypass.
sense. So tracking's
Does.
based on what again?
Yeah.
Yeah, again, my tracking is as good as my chance of fixing him. You want me to have a look at those wounds?
So I'm getting healed
Well, I
by
mean, you can
the-
have a look at the wounds before he even wakes up. You've got time to
That's
do
the
that.
point. I can, can't I?
Yeah.
Let's have a look at his wounds.
So yeah, go on then.
I've still got to roll a 7 or less.
Bear in mind, you do have a couple of D4 brownie point dice. You could potentially add one of those. In this case, you'd be
Yeah, they're not
subtracting
gonna
it from
fix
the
that
roll
one.
instead of adding it to the roll.
As close as that looks to a 3 for those looking at the stream, that's a 19.
Gee, that's not going to help, no.
It's like, yeah, I got that looks nasty.
You poke the bruise.
So, I think that's gotten infected. I can't do anything with that. Shrina, are you any good with injury stuff?
Hang
There's
on.
a,
very good
there's
at
a lot of
injuring.
stuff, lot of stuff we do shipboard that is makeshift.
She's quite
and
good at causing injuries if she's standing
rough and
behind you.
ready, but
Um,
I looks like it might be
Really,
infected.
no.
To me. I don't want to touch it anymore.
it's not my bag, but yeah. Hang on a sec. Right, hang on. Let's have a look. If nothing else, I can cut the wound open and let the pus out or something.
You see, now, if we had a
I've
shot
seen
of
that
rum,
done
I could have
before.
done just that, but we haven't even got the rum. The rum is gone.
She says, looking at her. No, I didn't. I nearly bought brandy. I was very close. I'll give it a go. If you want.
Well, if it's infected and it gets worse, then you're in
It's
trouble.
dead
If
anyway,
it-
so I can't make it any
Yeah.
worse.
Can't
Exactly.
be bothered to look it up, so I'm going to be generous and say that you are rounding up when halving your wisdom.
Oh, shit.
I'm screwed.
No, this is drop rolling. You're fine.
Yeah, could
Oh.
well be.
Let me just double check my wisdom, which is a 9. So I needed 5s, which I rolled. Oh. Sorry. Yeah, I rolled a 5. Which is what I needed.
Okay.
Like I
People
said,
are going to assume that I am lying through my bloody teeth.
I know you well enough that I trust your. I trust your
we've
dice.
known
I
you for a
trust
while,
your-
Drup.
what
We
you-
know you're not.
Yeah. I've been there and seen the dice in person, and I also I know you, and I know you wouldn't.
No.
In particular, I know that you had completely forgotten what I am about to tell you,
Yeah.
which is that a natural 1 in non-weapon proficiency checks in AD&D 2nd edition is not the uber fantastic thing that you might expect. It's not the equivalent of a natural 20 on a skill
No.
check in 3rd edition. Instead, a natural 1 is, well, yeah, you did it, but only just. It really wasn't very good. That was a bit crappy. Exactly the number you needed is the equivalent of a natural 20.
Is it?
Yes. If you roll
take your
bang
word for it.
on, it's the same
Uh-huh.
chance. You see, it's still 5%, but it's now
Yeah.
based on what your score actually is, rather than anyone can get a natural 1.
Oh, that's cool.
And
Yeah.
in this instance, I believe you did just say that you rolled exactly what
Yeah.
you needed. Which means that instead of rolling the D3, I am just going to say that he gets 3 hit points back, because you have done the maximum possible aid.
Merry Christmas, Robinson.
You got bang on, absolutely lucky. You closed your eyes, gritted your teeth, stuck a knife in, and indeed pus oozed out of the tentacle wound.
What do you know? Last time it was blood. Oh, well.
And
Live and learn.
suddenly he looks a little less green than he did earlier.
So how much am I getting back?
3.
And you get 3 hit points back. You have the bizarre experience of being stabbed and gaining 3 hit points.
I've managed to somehow heal more than that wound caused me damage-wise.
Shut up.
Yep,
Don't
yep.
tell
Yeah,
him.
officially, it can't do that, but I'm being nice in this instance because
Yeah.
you have no cleric.
Yeah.
and he knows what's coming next, and we don't.
Yeah. Okay. We've got a choice, kids. We can scout a bit further, see what's out there. But if you're bruised and battered and a bit knackered, you might be in trouble. We haven't come that far. We could attempt to head back to the beach and see if they've got any healing that they will feel like sharing. But I didn't see any clerics on board.
Well, that's helpful. What kind of Burke plans a mission like this without bringing any?
That for all I know, they were in that boat
Healing
that got eaten.
Yeah, you actually just don't know
No.
whether there are any. You don't know there definitely aren't,
No.
but you honestly don't know whether there are or not. There were guys and gals in the adventuring portion, now obviously much smaller than it originally was, who were wearing, like chainmail and wielding blunt weapons, but they could just be fighters who like blunt weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah, not
There's
all
no
fighters
way
like
of knowing
swords.
without actually seeing one of them wielding a holy symbol.
Yeah.
Even somebody with a holy insignia on their shield, for example, could just be religious, not necessarily actually a member of the church militant.
Yeah. It could just be somebody, as
But
you say,
it would
dedicated
certainly
to
make
their
sense
faith.
for them to bring clerics on a
Yeah.
quest like this.
Yeah,
But whether
crazy monkey.
they still have any after losing people in that first boat.
Well, they shouldn't
Mostly-
have put them all in the one boat.
Yeah, mostly
did.
though.
Never
you
put all
will
your clerics in one basket.
Absolutely, never put all your clerics in one boat. It's a well-known phrase or saying.
Yes.
That's just crazy talk.
Yeah. Most of what you lost were actually men-at-arms. So you've got most of the adventurers still here, in fact. So there's a good chance there are clerics waiting back at camp.
Okay. So...
At the same time, you haven't explored very much of this area at all, and it would be literally, unless you meet something else, it would literally be the matter of just a few minutes to, for example, check around the other side of the building that you were looking at when the carrion crawler arrived.
That's what I'm thinking.
Literally just open a little bit more of the map up before you head
Given
back.
how little that we've done here, we basically got to the area, started looking around, had a scrap. We should really be, very careful as to where we look to make sure we know what we're looking at.
If only you had someone with the move silently skill.
Give me time.
I don't get that one.
No, you don't
Other
get
rangers
that one.
do.
As a regular ranger, the two of you would be a perfect pair. A ranger and a fighter thief are brilliant for scouting. In this instance, the ranger is not as useful as he might otherwise be because he's more at home at sea.
Okay. You see, I'm happy to press on and scout a bit more, but I didn't get chomped on too badly.
Me neither. Like I said, it's a bruise, nothing more.
Yeah. So, Lucian, if you're up
Based
for
on
it.
her behaviour last time, I'm going to assume that Twittle is fine for scouting ahead because she was quite happy to wander off on her own and check down the other corridor. So she clearly has a slightly cavalier attitude towards danger, whereas the other party member is actually a cavalier, so there's a good chance that he has a similar attitude.
That covers it.
I'm in a better condition now than I was at the start of this encounter, so I think it's pretty obvious as to what my answer is.
You're actually feeling better than you have done in a couple of hours now, probably.
Okay, you guys wait here then, just outside the building. You may as well leave the icon where it is, but you can feel free to get rid of the carrion crawler if you want.
I'm going to leave that there for the moment because it's showing where the corpse is.
Wacko. Carrion crawler stakes, anybody?
What I will do, however, just to keep you happy, is I will just go to my art library and I will
You have the RIP.
I should have my dead icon that I can bung over the top of it. It's just a matter of finding it, scrolling through. I nearly need to clear out my art library. So much crap in there from various games.
And as soon as you clear it out, you will need them again.
Yeah, there is that too.
Whoa! Nearly.
Ah, there we go. It's
in the fog of war.
Given me a dead icon in the fog of war. I'm just putting it on top of hint by mistake. That's not where it wants to be.
Yeah, cheers.
So I'll leave the hint icon where it is, but what I will do is dragging them out of the fog of war. I will give you icons for Carps and Shrine, which let me know whether you can control them. You probably can't. I probably didn't set them up correctly. They're attached to your characters, but that doesn't mean that you get to control them. Yes,
I've done
can.
It.
Yeah.
So
I
you
appear
can
to
then
be polymorphed to NPC.
I haven't got a token created for you yet. My theory was that I would use, as I've done with Drut, I would use player tokens rather than character tokens, because that way I don't need to change tokens if, for example, you want to play a different character in a game. Because once you're back in Waterdeep, characters can drop in and out as much as desired. And if I know Drut, based on our old games of AD&D, we had about 20 characters each and just swapped them willy-nilly.
There is a fun to character creation.
Yeah.
There is a fun to character creation. And sometimes you think, oh, I know, this scenario isn't suited to my paladin. I'll play my thief instead. So,
and you do know we're all now going to go away and create clerics.
Yep.
yeah,
Church militants.
Wouldn't surprise me in the least.
I'm thinking we're really light on magic overall, so I'm thinking a cleric of Mystra.
For those who may be interested to know, although this edition of AD&D has been out of print since the year 2000, its core rulebooks are available from DriveThruRPG at a very reasonable price in PDF form. If you can't find DriveThruRPG, I recommend you go to www.fogonline.com and click on the DriveThruRPG logo at the bottom of the first page. And I'm not just saying that because it's my affiliate link and I get some pennies.
To be honest, two things. One, it makes a change Fishy being the affiliate,
Yep.
not me.
Yeah.
Yep.
And for 2, have you not already programmed that into your bot?
Yeah, I think I have, but I honestly can't remember what I've got programmed into my bot and what I haven't got programmed into my bot.
I will send you the hollow me that I
have a
did.
feeling I may have had a stuff command.
That's a good call.
Yes, I did.
Yes.
There we go.
Extravagant lifestyle. I'm sorry.
Yeah. My extravagant lifestyle is getting more and more extravagant.
Oh yeah.
Courtesy of the Pillow Fairy. Thank you, Pillow Fairy. And indeed you, Drut, for pointing me at the link. My mattress, so I can finally get a bed and stop sleeping on the floor, is being delivered on Wednesday.
I
you
take it this
vouchered
means
it.
your roof's been fixed.
As far as I'm aware, my roof's been fixed. My ceiling still hasn't been fixed. But at this stage, I'm reckoning I'm not going to see that guy until after Christmas. I can't see him suddenly phoning me up and saying, I'm going to come and do your ceiling this close to Christmas. He'll either not be working at all, or he'll be working every hour God sends when people have realised that their roofs are leaking in this weather.
Yeah.
So I've just said sod it.
I'll
He'll
pick
have
you
to
up
work
with a
round
couple
the
of
bed
dust
when he does
sheets.
turn up.
Fish. I'll pick you up some
Yeah.
dust sheets.
And I'm going to sleep in a bed for the first time in months.
You did order a king, didn't you?
I did order a king, yeah.
Yeah.
I've not got that big
I
a
thought-
room. It's going to fill the room, my king-size
Yeah.
bed, when I put it together.
That's why when I found a roll-up one, I thought, that's got to be done, because otherwise it will not go up your stairs.
Yeah. No, this is the problem. And if the ceiling doesn't get done and I have to move at the end of my initial 6-month tenancy, I may need to buy another mattress. I don't know I'm going to get it down the stairs either.
No,
But at this stage, I just don't care. I want to sleep.
Yeah.
And not on a floor, which would be a good thing, especially this time of year.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so since you now have tokens, you can indicate to me by moving your tokens
Yep.
whereabouts you wish to be scouting. I assume you're going to scout together rather than separately, but I've given you both tokens anyway.
I was going to suggest you
Together
hang
would
back
make
slightly
sense,
so that you can be in range to scooch up if I get into trouble, but I can use my move silently.
Makes sense.
That makes sense, yeah.
So if you stay, basically give me a square leeway. So if a fight does start, I can retreat and you can come up.
I
Sounds
will
good.
swap to polygonal reveal so that I can actually
Chop out the space.
show you some shit.
So I'm worried about this slag heap, you see.
Yeah, that does kind of
Actually,
concern
I'm
a
going
bit.
to go to reveal areas first because there's a chunk there that is on the edge and difficult of the map and difficult to reveal otherwise. So let's just do
Okay.
that.
Oh,
So if I hang back kind of about here,
yeah, that should do it. Okay, zooming does nothing.
You are unfortunately right at... I mean, it's a good job you've opted to go back because you're right at the edge of the map that I have prepared. I've got more of the
Okay.
map, I just haven't imported it into Roll20 yet.
Okay. Do I need to make a move silently check?
Right.
Well,
I
okay,
am
I'm going
going
to be
to
endeavouring
request
to move silently.
That you make a move silently check, yes.
Okay. That is a 34, and my move silently is... Oh, shit. I'm crap at that. Failed.
Yeah, the move silently
Oh,
chances
I don't
do
know.
tend to be pretty low compared to some other
My
things.
move silently is 10. I suck.
Oh, yeah, you really didn't focus on silence, did you? You focused
I didn't
on
put anything
climbing.
else in.
Ah,
I've got climbing, I added to hide in shadows, and I added to my open locks.
okay,
Quite a lot.
so you're not being particularly quiet then as you
No.
move up. You're not being noisy. I mean, failing a
No.
move silently roll doesn't mean that you're stomping around like a toddler in a bad mood.
Oh, you see
But-
me.
But it does mean that you are just making normal amounts of noise.
Yeah.
But normal amounts of noise for somebody who is moving cautiously and carefully. In this case, there's the not really footsteps, but there's the occasional rattle where you kick a stone or step on a piece of rubble that isn't as stable as you thought it was, that sort of thing. So the spoil heap, essentially, to the left of the map, to the west, it's not a flat wall. It is a slope, quite a steep slope, but it is a slope, and you can see that it is formed by a collapse up above. You would guess that there is a big open space up there somewhere that used to be solid, but you can't see any way to get up to it because it's fairly solidly packed. You can't see light, certainly, but then you probably wouldn't anyway. Without climbing all the way up there, it would be difficult to know whether there is actually any space through to a higher level at the top of this. It looks like what you've got here has now, because it happened a long time ago, clearly, has now settled and is stable and secure and not likely to collapse at any moment. Any collapses that were going to happen have done so over the years.
Yeah.
Hence
On
the
the other
amount of
hand,
rubble that there is in the streets around here.
On the other hand, right now I don't feel like climbing it, because I think that if anything's going to dislodge, I think it would be somebody adding unexpected weight to it.
Yeah, if there is
It's settled in
weight,
position.
the stuff at the bottom is probably pretty solid in that it's been weighed down by what's above it over the years. But the higher you go, the more likely you are to find loose stuff that hasn't been locked into place by the weight above. If there's a gap somewhere, then what's underneath that gap could well still be quite loose and able to move.
Let's table that for now, and then come back possibly if there's no other way out. Okay, in that case, I am going to head back to here.
Yeah.
And check out the other half of this bit, because we don't want to move ahead.
Well, sorry. You when you look up there, and now you're coming back. Are we not going that way?
We will, but I don't like the idea of something potentially creeping up behind us again.
Well, it does look kind of dodgy up there. I'm guessing anything that's going to come down there, we'd hear it.
Yeah, I mean the slope. Anything that comes down, the odds are we'd hear it or we'd feel it when the entire lot collapsed on top of our heads.
Well, there's a cheery thought.
Well, yeah.
You got close enough, by the way, to be able to see that this building here, which you did move up to, I should probably adjust the stream's view because I'm pinging just off stream for them. Let me...
Sorry, I was looking at the chat. Do you mean that one?
So yeah, that's the one.
Right. Okay.
That building there is in fact the southern edge of what might be one large building, or it might be a building complex, perhaps, of essentially almost like a terrace. Most likely, though, it's one large building, and you imagine it would be subdivided inside. It's hard to say without properly poking and looking inside of it. But that one, again, the slag heap to the west has collapsed this western side of it, but the building seems to stretch out quite a way to the north and slightly further, because you can sort of see round this corner here.
Yeah.
And it jinks out another 10 feet or so a little bit up round that corner. So that is a large building which its interior may or may not be usable, because you don't know how much damage has been caused by the collapse on the west end.
Yeah, I think that's going to require a little bit of attention, that building up north. I think that's going to be more investigation than a quick scout. These ones down here seem pretty small. And where fun times are you going to put the browser today, oh computer? Which monitor will it pop up on? Yeah, the buildings south, the reason I thought we could have a quick scout on them is they look pretty small.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
And we possibly want to have a look
this south
inside.
wall as well, although there is some collapse here, for example, between the two buildings, you can definitely see that bits of tiles, flagstones from that wall have come loose during the earthquake. However, whenever that was. But this wall is actually one of the worked walls that is meant to be an outer wall of this area. So these buildings don't extend any further south unless they've been tunneled into the wall.
Is it worth having a look inside the building to the south?
You can certainly do that. Getting into it is not really a problem.
No.
There is still a door in the doorway. However, it's old, it's not in very good condition, and its hinges are almost completely rotten through. It doesn't have metal hinges, it has leather ones. There are leather loops holding the door in place. One of them is completely gone, and the other one is probably going to come loose if you just try and open the door.
Oh dear.
You need to see Meki's link.
Yeah, I have seen Meki's link. Yes,
yeah, it's the little ghostly Henry floating away.
That's going to get to be, that will be added to the fan art gallery for the beginning of the next episode. Gradually building up a stack of Meki's portraiture at the beginning of each episode.
What we really need is someone to draw Henry getting cleft in half by a pair of axes.
Yes.
Not that you wish for your own activities to be immortalized at all.
Not at all, no. I think it's just a perfectly dramatic picture.
It is a very dramatic image, it's got to be said.
It is. It's rather more dramatic than me sticking him up the backside.
Just imagine
you've got the form for that. I remember you giving a dragon a short sword enema.
In my defence, they're not armoured in the rectum. And I was hanging off its tail at the time. And I had a +1 short sword, and it all made perfect sense.
It made sense in her mind, anyway. I'm not sure it made any sense in anybody else's.
I defy anybody else when 20 feet up, dangling off the back of a dragon, or backside of a dragon, with a short sword in the free hand. So there's a fairly obvious target.
Yes. I find that the prospect of imminent death contracts the mind wonderfully.
Thank you for that. Right. Okay,
can't only quote Pratchett. Got to get a bit of Adams in there as well.
True. I think I've shocked Meki. Okay, so let us poke our noses into that. You've got Tentacle again.
What?
Hello, Tentacle. Pippin, I think.
No, Pippin is curled up on the chair behind me, fast asleep.
Yeah,
you're
I saw
imagining
movements.
things, I think.
Oh, great.
That
may just be the
I'm being
back
invaded by Cthulhuid entities from beyond time and space.
Oh, sorry, is it Thursday already?
Can webcam actually defeat the fact that you can't normally see a Hound of Tindalos approaching through the angles?
Yeah, Hand of Tindalos go double drinking with the Weeping Angels. Right. Okay, so this building.
Yeah.
What is in there?
As I say, the door, the hinges on the door are extremely knackered and likely the one remaining hinge is likely to come apart when you try and open the door. So what are you going to do? Are you going to carefully remove the door? Are you going to kick the door in? Are you going to try and carefully open it without knackering the hinge? How are you opening
I was
this door?
going to suggest slicing the hinges if they're only leather.
Slice the hinge and then just remove the door.
Yeah.
You can do
Might
that.
be the quietest
Well,
way.
as things stand at the moment, it's sort of hanging slightly off this hinge. If you just cut the hinge, the door's going to fall.
You hold the door, I'll cut the hinge.
That makes more sense.
That does indeed make I shall hold the door.
Okay.
Teamwork.
So
Worst
yeah,
comes
you
to
can
worst, I've got an improvised shield.
Plan.
you can cut through the hinge without any trouble whatsoever. It doesn't cut cleanly because it keeps coming apart under your knife, but you can cut through it without too much trouble. And yeah, you're left holding a door. Behind the door is a darkened space.
Well, I shall take the door out and lean it up against the wall before we go in.
That also makes
Because
sense.
I'd like to have use of both my hands again rather than just sort of holding a door.
Bear in mind, if you want to be able to see, you're also dealing with a bullseye lantern.
We are.
Which I'm
However, if we
assuming
want
is
to
being
see,
carried by Shrine.
Shrine has a bullseye lantern. However, we can both see in the dark.
Ah, you do have infravision, yes. So
Yes.
have you left
And
the
we are
lantern
both
with the other
half elves,
guys?
so as the
And-
scouting pair at the moment, we're
Yeah.
not too badly off.
No, we can leave the light.
You will need
off.
to ask your companions to point the
Point it
lantern
the
in
other
a different
way.
direction, because you're close enough
Yes.
to them that you're well within lantern range.
Yeah.
All they have to do is if they just sort of step back round the corner a bit and shine it down the
Yeah.
corridor, then you're in darkness again and can be using infravision. So, what you see inside is a remarkably well preserved, fairly standard, maybe low, middle, high free sort of class hovel, really.
Okay.
The door opens into a combination living and kitchen area. There's a fire pit at the back, no chimney, so it would have been quite smoky when in use. However, there are also shuttered window spaces at either side of the building, which presumably the shutters would be thrown open if it starts getting too smoky. Hanging above the fire, there is also a strange shape that it takes you a moment to realize is effectively a piece of cloth or possibly canvas suspended from the ceiling on a wooden bar.
Tapestry?
No, it's hanging from the ceiling above the fire pit.
Okay.
There is a crude wooden table in here, and you can also see 2 3-legged wooden stools and a single piece of furniture, the best described as a sideboard. It's sort of a cupboard, almost a Welsh dresser. It's like a cupboard with a bit of space up on top with like one shelf. That seems to be all that and the table and stool seem to be all the furniture there is in this room.
Okay.
And this is one big room.
Okay. Nothing's rising from the rubble to eat our faces. Well, that's a plus.
No nasty rising from the ashes in the fireplace to smite us with some fiery nastiness. That's also a plus.
Yeah. I'm going to scooch over and have a quick look through the dresser.
Okay. You scooch
Mainly,
over.
I want to check it doesn't Narnia back and something unpleasant has burrowed through.
As you attempt to open the cupboard doors on the dresser, they prove to be in no better condition, despite appearances, than the front door, and they just come off in your hands. Yeah.
No, okay. Now I have 2 improvised shields.
There is some unidentifiable gunk inside that may once upon a time, many, many years ago, have been food, but now is not even recognizable as the remains of food.
Oh, good.
It's just that there was something there, and whatever it was isn't there anymore. And the obvious thing is that it was perishable and probably food.
Logical.
There are a couple of wooden bowls in no better condition than the doors, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that's about all that is in said.
Yes, I wasn't looking for loot. I was looking for things that might come squiddling out. And
a few spiders, ordinary-sized spiders, of the running away from you or ignoring you completely.
Boots are invented for. Okay. What do you reckon? This central building, or carry on round the right-hand side?
Before the carrion crawler turned up, which is only like half an hour ago in game.
Yeah, true.
For you, you were about to investigate the central building.
We were.
Okay.
And I still think that's a jolly good idea.
Yeah. Okay then. Poke our noses into that fallen bit and see what's what.
After you.
Okay.
Thanks.
You're better at the whole quietly
nose poking.
thing.
Yeah. Only in as much as I have the skill at all.
This side of the building, on the basis that from inside you can see through there.
Okay.
Fairly clearly.
Cool. So there's a window on that side.
Yeah.
We know that much now.
Yeah.
Oh,
we
there's a hole
know
in the
that
wall.
the south wall is almost entirely gone. There's like There's a section in the middle, but both corners have collapsed, and you were
Yeah.
coming in through the southwest corner when you investigated it before. And we know that, again, it is one large open space inside, which in this case is about 20 by 20. Same width as the building you were just looking at, but deeper. Again, there is a fire pit. It's actually, in this case, in the northwest corner. And it has a square of canvas or something actually lying on top of the fire pit. You can also see some rotted rope there. It looks like it's something similar to whatever that was in the other building hanging above the fire pit there.
Smoke deflector, something like that.
Or possibly just something to put it out.
Yeah, could
Smother
be.
it. Fire
Yeah.
blanket, effectively.
The
Yeah, could be.
east wall is in better condition than the south wall, but again, chunks of it have collapsed. You suspect there may have been a window in that big open space there at some point, but the edges are too ragged for that to have been the shape that the window was. Clearly something has done further damage since. It's possible, however, that in that case that might have been something like the carrion crawler crawling around, may have tried to squeeze through the window and done further damage. There's no way for you to know. All you know is there's a big open space on that side. The table that was in this building is in less good condition than the one to the south. It's lying on the floor and recognizable as a table from context more than by actually looking at it and saying that's a table. Look, it's a wide, flat bit of wood on the floor. I'm guessing it used to be a table once.
Yep.
In this building, however, there are actually two wooden frames that must once have been simple cots. There's nothing to actually hold a mattress or a person in them anymore. Whatever that was has long since rotted away.
Yeah.
Possibly leather straps on which
Rope or something.
thin straw mattress might have been placed. But now not there anymore.
Okay.
Underneath one of them, however, you can see something that is colder than its surroundings. Quite small.
Hello.
That's interesting.
Don't need the screeching, screamy noise on the ambient. On the whole. Hello, there's something under there,
Really?
indicating which one it is. And I will cautiously approach.
Okay.
I'm going through this little expedition, by the way. Thank you for that. With my
Timing.
rapier out.
I know
Timing.
we're going around in darkness, but come on.
Okay, as you
I'm
approach,
not the person who made the
drow
glowing
drops a
Death
globe
Star.
of darkness on you.
It is, isn't it? You can see me and you can see the Death Star. That's about it.
Yeah.
Hey Google, turn the living room light on 10%. Wrong room, actually.
Yeah, you're not in your living room.
No, I'm not. Hey Google, turn the oh shit! You got me. You got me doing it
Hey
again.
Google, teach Drut to speak English.
Okay, Google, turn the bedroom light on.
Apparently
Anytime.
Google does not wish to speak to you. Congratulations, Drut. That is the best advert for the Amazon Echo that I have ever seen.
Hey Google, turn the bedroom light on. It just tried to turn
Well,
it off.
while
It's
you're
me being
arguing with
incoherent.
Google, I will tell
Thank
you
you.
that as you approach the bed frame, you can see in the dust and detritus underneath, as you get closer, the colder section is revealed as something metallic and about 4 or 5 inches long and quite thin.
Okay.
But you
That
can't really
sounds
tell
getting
what without
blade-like.
digging it out.
Yes, the word dagger is floating through my head at this stage. Is this a knife I see before me? The answer is maybe. Okay,
This
I'm
is a
going
knife
to. Yes.
I see before me. Bang! Oh, it wasn't a knife.
Yeah. I'm going to poke it out with the tip of my rapier.
Okay, yeah, it looks like it was once indeed a dagger or a knife, probably a dagger at that sort of size. The The hilt has long since vanished, so what you've got is a blade with just a tang that would have been inserted into probably a wooden hilt. It looks to be in reasonably good condition, given its age and position. Certainly not
Okay.
usable as it currently stands, but
No.
it
Easy
might
enough, though.
actually be, take a bit of glass paper to it and oil it, and you might actually be able to put a new hilt on it and have a working dagger out of this. Who
Well,
knows?
given that I lost a dagger to the river
You did lose a dagger to the river.
when I flung
that
it
was a
at the
poker for
shark.
those who missed that game? No, it wasn't.
And yeah, I will scoop it up and stick it in my backpack.
Okay.
You never know. I'm familiar with things where the hilt has fallen off, given that's what I spent this morning playing with.
The hilt's fallen off and it's all gone pear-shaped.
Yeah. This is where
So
I
it's
find out.
a pear thing.
Not a hairpin.
No, a pear thing.
A pear thing.
A pear thing. Yes, it could be a pear thing.
Yep. Okay.
Right, let's do a little bit more revelation. Not of the Daleks, however.
Now I'm going off into Hawkwind there. Right.
So yeah, through the big hole on the far side, you can see, again, you've got a little sort of an alley, avenue, street, whatever you want to call it. It's a weird thing inside a cave, but there it is. And across from that is another building. This one, again, a little dilapidated, but mostly intact. Looks
There's
to
no
be quite a
bodies
small
anywhere.
one. You have
There's
not
no
found
bodies, there's no
any
remains.
bodies anywhere. However, you have found a carrion crawler, which is called that for a reason.
But equally, however, I don't recall any descriptions of bones in its lair.
No.
Maybe that wasn't its lair.
Fair enough. Good point. It may just have been where it was.
Maybe
So
it was a
this
very
here
fastidious
is a building
carrion crawler, and it periodically swept up its lair, took the bones and dumped them in the river.
Well, that's possible. I'm
River's
saying it's
not far.
likely.
Or maybe
Yeah.
somewhere out there that you haven't yet encountered is
There's a
that
nest.
most awesome of menaces, the gelatinous cube.
Oh, bollocks. Oh,
Because let's
I was
face it,
trying not
that's
to
what
think of that.
you've heard of gelatinous cubes, and that's what they
Yeah.
do. They exist in dungeons, and they clean up all the bones.
yeah. How clear is the floor?
A
the
lot of rubble
streets.
on it, as I said.
Big bits of rubble? Little bits of rubble?
Different sizes of bits of rubble, but some of them are very small. Some of them are small enough that you would have expected them to be picked up by a passing
To
cube.
be picked up by the carrion crawler. Yay.
Not the carrion crawler, no, but a passing
cube.
Not
cube.
carrion crawler, sorry, yes, gelatinous cube.
Also, you're on a bit of metal, which would also be picked up by a gelatinous cube.
All that means is it didn't make
Only
it
if
into
it
the
came
house.
into the building. But if it didn't come into the building, then where
Where are the bodies?
bones, you know.
Yeah. Baby gelatinous cube.
So we've got a building
Gelatinous
over
D4.
here. Is this a building down here as well that we can see partially?
Yes, there is another building down to the south
Yeah.
there. Since you're actually not looking by lantern light, I'll give you a little bit more reveal, actually, because
Yeah, we can see
Your-
rather better.
infravision will reach the parts other lanterns cannot reach.
The good thing about being a half elf,
Yep.
So it's still not going to show you
Sorry,
a
Robinson.
lot more.
we can see 2 millimeters further on the map.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll just stand at the door,
Yeah.
guardy stuff.
You guard our rear.
But yeah,
I'm pretty
you
sure
can
that coming out
see
the way we came in is probably the safest route to
Yeah.
come back out and start looking down this way.
there is indeed a building here and a building here, and those are separate buildings. You can see just enough of the street space between them to know that those are two separate buildings.
Okay.
And if you move down there, then you can see even more,
Yeah.
because you're now in a position to actually look down the street.
Yeah,
So
look down the street.
just
That's what I was
do
thinking.
That.
But we are not rushing off wantonly and egregiously
Yeah.
without caution.
Now, this is quite
Nor without the
interesting
backup from our companions.
because what you can now see is you can see the edges of these two dilapidated buildings, and looking down the street between them, you're looking quite a distance. With infravision, it's getting close to the edges of your infravision, and infravision isn't great for seeing detail anyway. But that building in the back here looks to be intact.
That's
completely intact, the small bit of it that you can see.
So if the centre bit here collapsed, maybe that was protected by the side of the cave. I'm going to turn and beckon up our companions.
Okay. Henry won't
Stay
be following,
back.
unfortunately.
No. Stay back, but, close enough in case we need you. And yes, keep those lanterns pointed away from us. For now.
So I'm just going to continue guarding.
Yeah, but guarding a little bit closer than we were.
Yeah.
You're in Overwatch.
Yes, exactly.
Given that
Which
you're the
yes,
most
boys and
armoured,
girls,
we
does
should-
mean
why
something
not?
other than a video game.
I was thinking of the XCOM one, but yeah, now I'm thinking of the...
Yeah.
Yeah, the XCOM Overwatch is probably more accurate, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be using it in the same terminology, because we're talking pretty much tabletop wargaming terminology here.
Yeah. I think the first time I tripped over it was Shadowrun.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think I first tripped over it in some 40k game, but I can't remember which one. Space Hulk, maybe?
Maybe.
Oh,
yeah,
yes,
Space Hulk
actually.
definitely uses Overwatch.
Yeah.
Space Hulk, of
Okay.
which there were at least 4 different video games.
Yes.
Fish,
Of
I've
which 2
moved
I
up.
own.
Yeah, I've moved up to the corner.
Yeah.
I shall move up.
I don't want to leave too big a gap
little
behind
backup.
me, but we're kind of trailing.
Yeah. I'm staying close enough behind Shrine that I
Just
can leap in and
noticed
assist should she
that,
get into trouble.
I should have noticed it earlier on, because you actually did say, and I wasn't properly paying attention, and I misheard what you'd said. Yeah, you have indeed polymorphed to NPC rather than PC, haven't you? I put the wrong token in for the two of you.
That's okay.
Both Twittle and Carps at the moment say NPC, not PC. They were supposed.
Yeah.
I've got 2 identical tokens, just with the letter N added to one of them. I used the wrong one.
Can I have another punter to move silently? Because I don't like
You
approaching this
can
intact
indeed have
building.
another punter to move silently.
Come on, dude. Play nice. 8. Which
That's-
actually makes it.
Pretty gosh darn quiet.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can move down the alleyway there in
Yeah.
silence.
And darkness.
Silence and darkness.
In black. I mean, come on. Right. Poke my nose around the corners, I guess.
No, I don't have such wondrous skills with silence and such, so I'm gonna come down to about there. So I've got a little bit of cover,
Yeah.
and
I'm
not
wearing
completely
Orchidas.
highlighting her with my far noisier, no matter how
Yeah.
quiet I try to
Actually,
be, movement.
what can I see up that north alley before I do that? Okay, nothing.
Right,
It
up
carries
that
on.
north alley, it does indeed carry on, and
Straight up the edge of the map.
you can see just off the edge of the map. You can see another wall. It's literally this half square that marks the top of the map. The next square along is wall,
Gotcha.
so it is literally just off the top here.
Okay.
And that wall again looks to be intact.
Right. Okay, I am in that case looking down that corridor
Right.
and hopefully seeing where the entrance is to this building.
Down there's a degree of rubble down at the end there where that
Yeah.
wall has the exterior wall, so to speak, has lost some tiles or flagstones or whatever you want to call them. However, there's less rubble there than there has been in other places. And as I say, this building that you're now standing next to is completely intact. The east wall of this building at the south there is also not completely okay, but looks to be in much better condition than the west wall of the same building was.
Yeah, so definitely there was...
So whatever happened sort of happened around this area, probably epicentered around here.
Well, you know that this behind the building here, is a big rubble pile that came down from the building, from the ceiling. If the collapse took place over in this sort of area, it may just be that you're now reaching the outskirts of where it actually affected. So
I'm
this
not
building
sure about the use
here,
of the term safe.
this building here is seemingly intact. It's old and slightly dilapidated in that it is old, but it doesn't appear to be damaged the way the others are. And there is a door about there.
Right.
Have we yet seen a door for this building?
The door for that building is here in the first square on the north.
Okay. What do you want to do?
Actually, no, it isn't. No, it would make more sense for it to be here on the west wall on that square.
Okay. What would you suggest then? This one first, or the big building?
Don't you like the idea of something nasty possibly being behind us?
Back round here then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Same routine as we did for the southern building then. If it's leather hinges,
I'll hold the door.
It is indeed again leather hinges.
Yeah.
And you can, in this case, both of them are still intact, but both very unhappy, and you can just cut through them without too much trouble and remove the door.
Makes sense.
Inside, this is almost identical to the building in the centre.
Okay.
This one that was your first point of investigation when you arrived. But this one's in slightly better condition. The south wall has partially collapsed into the building, but the roof is intact. It's a simple wooden roof. There are cross beams supporting what are essentially wooden tiles to form the ceiling. None of them look particularly sturdy anymore. You could probably smash it apart with your bare hands, but it's still there at the moment. Inside is less good because the south wall has partially collapsed. There's a sort of a hole that you can see up at the top, and the rubble from that hole has sort of poured down into the room, causing a distinct movement hazard in the southern edge of the building. Furniture-wise here, there is a single cot frame similar to what you found in the central building, but only one of them. The table here is still on its legs, but looks like they're its last ones. And this building actually has a couple of very rickety-looking and probably unsafe to sit on chairs, straight-backed, simple chairs.
Okay. So it looks a little bit more defensible if need be, just on a hypothetical basis.
There's no sign of the fire pit here. You suspect it's under the rubble in the south.
Yeah, makes sense.
If we're barricading ourselves into that building, we're in so much trouble that a defensible place is not what we need anyway.
Yeah. Just keep your eyes open for anywhere that looks solid. Okay then, back round to this corner then. And I would suggest that they all come up with us.
Yeah, agreed. We're leaving them a bit far behind now.
Yeah. And I will try the door.
Okay, and
Or I will look at the door.
I think at that point I am going to call it for the night, and we will investigate this building next week.
Okie dokie. Fun session.